The site is Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. The All-Star break is over and baseball is back. The Cardinals and the Dodgers in the first of a 4-game series. For the St. Louis Cardinals, speed. Vince Coleman. It's been one of their assets for all the years in the 80s. No matter where he's coming from on the base paths, he'll bother catchers, pitchers, and set up an entire offense. And for the Cardinals, defense. They have it. Right now, they've committed the second fewest errors in the National League. Plays like that and like this by Coleman. And Jose Oquendo at second base. It took a long time for him to earn a job. He's got it now. And then there's Ozzie. For the Dodgers, is there another miracle left in those legs? They're 11 games out as they come back from the All-Star break, but they still are the world champion Dodgers. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is a magnificent evening here in Los Angeles as the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers are set to go in the first game of a 4-game series. Good evening, everybody. This is Gary Thorne, and welcome to ABC's Thursday Night Baseball. And yes, indeed, the All-Star game is over, and it's time for the second half. And there are good divisional races all the way around. Let's take a look at the National League Eastern Division. The St. Louis Cardinals here tonight, just 3 games behind Montreal. And look in that loss column, there's only a 1-game difference between the Montreal Expos, Chicago, New York, and St. Louis. They're all in it. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, no team has ever had to come from this position to try and repeat since 1939 when the All-Star game started. The Dodgers are 11 games behind and in 5th place with the Giants, Houston, Cincinnati, and San Diego on top. For the Dodgers, the first half of the season, great pitching. They lead the major leagues in ERA, but the trouble has been at the plate. They've not been able to develop hitting. Does that deter Tommy Lasorda? You better believe it does not. Mr. Motivation is at it again for the second half of the season, and Joe Morgan had a chance to talk with him before the game about that subject.
Tommy, you're probably the greatest motivator in the game. Has it been tough to motivate these guys after last season's championship?
Well, no, it hasn't been tough motivating. It's just a fact that some of our guys who are supposed to hit and drive and runs haven't been doing it right now. And we've lost a lot of 1-run games and 2-run games, Joe. So it's in my opinion and my belief that we can turn those defeats into victories with just a base hit or an RBI here and there. When your pitching is good enough to carry you into the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning with the opportunities to win the games, that's when you're doing right. But you got to get that base hit to do it. And I told him today in a meeting, we're starting the second half. It can be done. I can remember 1982. I told him we gained 11 games in 10 days on the Atlanta Braves. We played them 8 times and beat them 8 in a row. We can get a good winning streak going. We can gain some gains. All they got to do is believe it. I want them to come to the ballpark starting today and believing that today is going to be the first game of a good winning streak. I told him about the 1951 miracle Giants who overcame a big margin to beat the Dodgers. The 1914 miracle Braves. I said, hey, if it happened once, it can happen again. And we can make it happen right here. All we got to do is believe it. Come to the ballpark and say to yourself, we're going to do the best we can every day from here on out. And we can gain a game, 2 games a week on the leaders, and then we can put ourselves in the right position again.
Well, you got me motivated.
Okay, Joe. Are you ready to hit?
Yeah.
Tommy Lasorda, Joe Morgan, will never say die. The Dodger Blue runs deep, and he's a true believer.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough sell for Tommy Lasorda because they're 11 games behind, but they also have to leapfrog 4 of the ball clubs to get into first place. So it's really more like a 15-game spread than 11.
For the St. Louis Cardinals, they are the team of the 80s. If you take a look at the numbers in the National League, no ball club has a better winning percentage in the 1980s than does St. Louis, and they've made it work for them. They have won the World Series in '82, and they've won National League titles, and Joe Whitey Herzog himself is a miracle puller with these St. Louis Cardinals?
Well, because of the larger ballparks in the National League and the AstroTurf, it puts a bigger premium on speed and defense. And no one has used speed and defense better than Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals. And that's why they are the leading team in the 80s.
Okay, then we are ready to go. This is the first of a big 4-game series. Starting pitchers for tonight's game. It'll be Ken Hill on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, 5-4. And for the Dodgers, Orel Hershiser makes the start.
ABC's Thursday Night Baseball, brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste, so tap into the cold. By Kellogg's Raisin Bran with 2 scoops of plump juicy raisins in golden flakes of bran. And by Sharp Electronics. From sharp minds come sharp products.
Welcome, everybody, here at Dodger Stadium as the second half of the season gets underway for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers, and a very big 4-game series. Vince Coleman will be leading it off for the Cardinals. Thompson and Smith to follow, and this is the speedster who you must keep off the base paths if you're going to keep the St. Louis Cardinals in tow. And running the base paths, he's got a streak of 39 consecutive stolen bases now this season, 45 going back to last year. So Joe Morgan, if he gets on, he's gone.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about Vince Coleman is when he gets on, he steals a lot of bases. And he's stolen like 45 in a row, even though last year he got caught about 27 times. So he's done a lot better as far as picking his spots and getting a better jump this year.
Coleman against Orel Hershiser, the starter for the Dodgers, who comes into the game 9 wins and 7 losses. The Cy Young Award winner and Mr. Everything from last season. You see his numbers. Hershiser again with the innings pitched and hit ratio in very stable situation. Very few walks compared to the strikeouts he picks up on the season. And he catches the outside corner with that one.
And watching the 3 pitches he has thrown to Vince Coleman, you see what Orel Hershiser is all about. The first pitch of the ball game was a perfect pitch, knee high and away for a strike. The next one was just a little low. Coleman didn't offer at it. The next one's right on the outside corner again. But a lot of times they offer it the one that goes just a little bit off the plate, and that's when he's most effective, when he can get you to chase pitches out of the strike zone.
And he keeps them so close to the strike zone. Even when he misses, he's not very far off. One of the reasons that he's been so effective. 30 years old now, and Hershiser, slow start this season with all the pressure on him and all that went on in the offseason. That to short. Alfredo Griffin, the running throw. He's got Coleman one away.
And that is one of those pitches we were talking about. He throws the ball, it starts in the strike zone, and it sinks down and away, and all Coleman can do is hit a little ground ball to shortstop.
And you'll see a lot of those when he's on, as Hershiser will be facing this lineup. Milt Thompson in center with McGee on rehab. Smith the shortstop, followed by Guerrero at first. Terry Pendleton at third. Tom Bernansky in right. Jose Oquendo will be making the start again at second base. Pena and then Ken Hill, the 23-year-old right-hander, who will be starting for the Cardinals tonight. And here's Milt Thompson taking the pitch up high. Thompson has been a very important and pleasant acquisition from the Philadelphia Phillies for the St. Louis Cardinals. With Willie McGee's injury, they've needed him in center field, and he's hitting. Played by Randolph, and he got him on a strong play by the second baseman, Willie Randolph. 2 down.
Willie Randolph's forte is defense. He makes all the plays around second base and some exceptional ones, as we'll see here. Not only just a tough play, but Milt Thompson runs very fast. You see, he started to set himself, then he realized who was running, and he had to get rid of it very quickly. We get a look at it here as he goes behind the bag. Tough play. Now you see, he wants to set himself, but then he realizes he has a fast runner, so he has to get rid of it, and Eddie Murray helps him out at first base with a stretch.
So there are 2 of those ground balls we were talking about. Almost a 2-to-1 ratio this season for Orel Hershiser. When he has those sinker pitchers working, that's exactly what the opposing hitters will do, and that's pounded into the turf. Here's Ozzie. Great numbers for him at the plate. Batting that .294 average, which right now is up among the leaders. He's 9th in the National League. Jerry Lane, the home plate umpire, gets a look from the Oz on that one, who was not particularly happy with the call, and turned around to say so. He is 9 for 27, a .333 batting average lifetime against Hershiser. He's been one of the few hitters who's been able to put up strong offensive numbers. Breaking ball misses down low, ball and a strike.
Very rarely do I ever disagree with Whitey Herzog. I don't really disagree with him here because he doesn't have anyone to hit in the third spot, but I don't think Ozzie Smith is really a third-place hitter. I think he does a better job when he hits in the second spot because he moves the bat around, moves the ball around and uses the bat well. A third-place hitter is supposed to be a guy that drive in runs, etc., and Ozzie is really not an RBI man, but I think the fact that they do not have a legitimate third-place hitter, Herzog has decided to use Ozzie there.
He's giving him obviously the hits with the average that he's got, but as Joe mentioned, it's just not the kind of bat you'd expect in that position. As you take a look at the Dodger blue bench, the brain trust over there for LA, and that one fouled off outside of first. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down here in the first inning.
Watching the first 2 hitters and half of the bat with Ozzie Smith, it looks like Oral Hershiser has his best stuff tonight because he has not thrown a ball above the waist yet.
He's only appeared once against the Cardinals this season, a non-decision Dodger loss 3-2. The Cardinals have just dominated this season in this series. There you see the ground balls we were talking about, and it is almost exactly a 2-to-1 ratio. That's keeping stuff down, and he's going to have 3 ground balls here in the first inning. Play made by Randolph, and they did not get a ground ball out of the infield in the first off Hershiser, with the Dodgers coming up. Dodger Stadium crowd will be coming in here tonight in the early evening hours as you take a look at Ken Hill, 23-year-old right-hander. There you see his numbers this season. He was acquired from the Detroit Tigers in 1986 in a deal involving Mike Heath. He too has kept the hits down below that innings pitched number. The walks, though, are up there with 53 walks and 65 strikeouts. The lineup that he will be facing tonight for the Dodgers looks like this. It'll be Alfredo Griffin leading off at short. Willie Randolph at second base. Kirk Gibson in left field, and they've got to have some power out of that spot, as well as Eddie Murray in the cleanup hole playing at first base. Mike Marshall in right field will be followed by Mike Scioscia, who will do the catching tonight. Jeff Hamilton is at third base. The rookie Gonzalez making the start in center field. Jose Gonzalez may have earned himself a spot for a while, and Oral Hershiser on the mound for the Dodgers. The defensive alignment looks like this. The outfield will have Coleman, Thompson, and Brunansky. Lots of speed in left and at center. It'll be Pendleton, Smith, Jose Oquendo, and Guerrero in the infield. The veteran Tony Pena working behind the plate with his battery mate, Ken Hill.
Well, Ken Hill is a power pitcher. Fastball, slider, and a forkball. All 3 of those pitches are very hard. So he really, I think, before too long needs to learn an off-speed pitch to make himself more effective. But if you can get away with a fastball, good job.
Alfredo Griffin leading it off, and the pitch by Hill misses for a ball. Griffin trying to get those numbers up and help this Dodger attack, which has been anemic at best, as they are 12th on the bottom in the National League in plumb batting with a .234 team batting average. And Alfredo Griffin hit just 199 in 95 games that he played in an injury-plagued season last year. It was a very difficult transition for him and a very disappointing season.
Well, you can see that he has improved his numbers this year, and I think that's one of the things that happens when you go to a new league. It takes you a year to adjust.
And that one misses down low, and quickly Hill's got himself in trouble. 3 balls and no strikes. And that will bring Terry Pendleton from third over, and also Tony Pena, the catcher, is going to go out and have a word with him.
You know, you're talking about the Dodgers' anemic batting average, but you know, the last 17 ball games they've actually hit very well. They've hit .266 in that period of time, and a few of those ball games they've had 10 base hits.
Tells you how slow they started this season at the plate. Jerry Lane working the plate tonight. Bob Engel at first. Paul Runge will be at second, and Dutch Renner at third base, the umpiring crew for tonight's game. 3-0 count. Griffin will be taking on here, and he's going to draw himself a walk.
Were you sure he would be taken?
Actually, what we've seen this season, I should never say that. There's no such thing as automatic, is there?
Nothing anymore.
Well, you know, Joe, the numbers for Hill on leadoff batters who have walked are incredible. He has walked 18 leadoff batters now this season. That'll really get you in a world of hurt. Starting out putting the guy on base. Willie Randolph.
he can get away with it sometimes because he is a power pitcher, and he will end up getting some strikeouts.
Griffin fakes the go, and there's the strike. Griffin has picked up 6 stolen bases, 7 attempts. There he is at first base. This Dodger team, one of the problems they've had, they've been able to get people on base, but they have not been able to move people around. They have only 47 stolen bases on the season as a team. Point made tonight, talking with Vin Scully, the broadcaster of the Dodgers. He said, you know what's happened to the Dodgers? They've become an American League team. They get people on base and then wait for the home run.
3-run homer.
And he says you just can't do that in the National League with all the big yards that the National League ball clubs play in. So that's why the Dodgers have been near the top, if not at the top, in most left on base this season. There you see what we're talking about with the Dodgers not doing much running, even though, as Joe said, they've been hitting and getting people on base. They have won only 3 of their last 10 games going into the All-Star break, while the Cardinals, 8 of the last 10 were wins. That one up high. Tony Pena fakes the throw over to first. Griffin's faking the go every time, just jogging a couple of steps and then turning to the bag.
If you're going to steal a base, you have to steal it on the pitcher, because Tony Pena throws well and he gets rid of the ball very quickly. There you see Griffin faking at first base. But actually, Ken Hill allows you time to run because he has a big leg kick.
There goes Griffin, hit and runs on. That's the way you executed Willie Randolph. Griffin's on his way to third, and that's where he'll stay, and the Dodgers have the first 2 on.
When you get behind in the counter, you give the offense a hitting run count. You're really playing into their hands. It's 1-1, so he has to try to throw a pitch in the strike zone. And Willie Randolph does a great job of poking the ball to the opposite field. And since he was running with the pitch, it's a cinch for Alfredo Griffin to go around to third. Perfectly executed hit and run.
That's all you need to do. Just put that ball out there in that hole, and that's exactly what was done by Randolph. So the Dodgers with a chance to get to Hill here in the first inning. Here's the meat of the order, Kirk Gibson. And he's going to make him throw a strike, and he does.
But because, as I mentioned, he'll throw so hard, he can sometimes work his way out of jams. Because he throws so hard, he'll get a lot of pop-ups and a lot of strikeouts.
64th the game that Gibson has played in this season for the Dodgers. He has again played in a good deal of pain for them, as he did at the end of last season. Manny Mota, the hitting instructor, batting coach of the Dodgers, saying we've got to get production from this middle of the order in the second half of the year. We have to have Gibson, Murray, and Marshall healthy, and we have to have them producing some RBIs, because that is the Dodger offensive attack. Gibson wants the ball looked at.
You know, it's the interesting thing about the middle of their lineup. Gibson has a 275 lifetime average. He's hitting 223. Eddie Murray has a 293 lifetime average. He's hitting 241. Mike Marshall has a 271 lifetime average. He's hitting 236.
Not the kind of numbers you need for your offense. Gibson on the breaking ball. Runners will hold. Tony Pena behind the plate. You're on base anywhere. Don't take your eye off the baseball. Pena will throw the ball to any bag at any time. He is one of those catchers who is not afraid to do that. There you see the numbers for Gibson.
And with Gibson, you know, he's 50 points below his career average.
1-2. Nobody out. And the count will stay that way. Last season, when he won that MVP award and the dramatics which really become the stories of baseball, and that home run that he hit in his only World Series appearance for the Dodgers and Tommy Lasorda, he ended up in the record book in another way. He was the only MVP other than Hank Greenberg in Major League history who had been selected MVP and hadn't been to the All-Star game.
That is interesting.
A couple of pretty good baseball players. You got to join somebody in a category, you might as well join Hank Greenberg. 1-2. Dodgers are threatening to score here, and Hill misses outside with it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The infield of the Cardinals looking for the double play. As Hill with a 2-2 count checks at first. You see they're back. Pendleton at third and over at first holding the bag. Chance for the play possibly at the plate for Guerrero. The 2-2. They've got him for 2. There's one relay. They've got him trapped coming home. Good play by Ozzie to Tony Pena. They've got Griffin trapped. They got to get Ozzie to make the tag, and he didn't do it. Misplayed the rundown. The out is at second base in the forced play, but that's all they're going to get.
You know, when you get a guy in a rundown, you should never take more than 2 throws to get the guy. The ball is grounded back to Hill. He does a great job. He stops the runner from third. Now he goes to second, which gives Ozzie a chance to catch Alfredo Griffin in a rundown. Now, see, the faking is what messed up. He let Terry Pendleton get too close to Alfredo Griffin. You have to give him the ball before that happens. As you see, Griffin is in a pickle here. But you have to give him the ball right now, not wait till he gets that close. Once he gets that close, it's impossible to make a play. So Tony Pena, while he was faking, Griffin was getting back.
So Gibson makes it to first base, first and third, 1 away now, and Murray's got the base hit for an RBI. Griffin scores, and the inability to effectively use that rundown allows the Dodgers to pick up a run, and for Eddie Murray, his team leading 48th run batted in. And Whitey, who's key on fundamentals, just looks out and say that's one we should have made.
Well, it did 2 things. It also opened the hole up at first base for Eddie Murray. If they would have been able to get Alfredo Griffin out, I don't think they would have had that hole at first base.
So Griffin a survivor on that trip around the base paths, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. 2 hits now. Randolph and Murray with singles off Ken Hill here in the first inning, and here's Mike Marshall. 2 on, 2 away. Reach for the breaking ball. Tony Pena. That'll do it. So had they been able to make that double play, they would have been able to do it. Now there are 2 down. Apologize. And runners move up. I had them making the double play, and they didn't.
No.
They'd be out of the inning if they had. That'll bring up Mike Scioscia. Well, again, we talked about Hill with that leadoff walk. It'll get you in trouble more often than not. And that's exactly what happened here in this inning, because that's what started the inning off, with Griffin drawing the walk. Now 2 in scoring position. Here's where the Dodgers have been lacking in the first part of the season, and that's picking up the big hits when they've had runners on, particularly runners in scoring position, situations like this. And Scioscia didn't think that caught the outside corner. Jerry Lane did. Strike 1.
I think the key to the Dodgers' problems are that they only have really Mike Marshall and Eddie Murray as key RBI men, and they're not producing right now.
Slap towards second base. Kendo will make the play, and that will do it. But run in as they pick up a run on a couple of hits with 2 are left in scoring position. And we'll return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Gary Thorne and Joe Morgan back here at Dodger Stadium. Joe, let's take a look at the rundown that did not result in the double play.
Well, Ozzie Smith comes across to make the double play, but he also is aware that Alfredo Griffin is on third, so he looks at him and he catches him halfway, and they start the rundown. The Cardinals are really lucky right there that interference was not called, because if interference is called, he would have been able to score, and the runner on second base would have been able to move up another base. So the Cardinals, even though they did not correctly effectively have the rundown work, they came out of it actually ahead of the game, because they could have had interference calls.
Almost another interesting play on that, with Guerrero up with Ozzie covering at third. He almost had both of the putouts on that same play, one at second and one at third base, if he'd have been able to put the tag down in time, but he couldn't do it. Orel Hershiser working against Guerrero now. Guerrero, Pendleton, and Brunansky. One fouled off. Pedro now 33 years old, and everybody said, yeah, you're going to get him over there in St. Louis. But the Dodger fans said, how much is he going to play? Well, how about 129 games in a row? That was the one big question about Pedro Guerrero. Would he be in the lineup?
Well, I think what happens is a lot of times hitters or players go through a spell where they have a lot of injuries, because a lot of times one causes another. And so you miss a lot of ball games. And then when you get completely well, you're back to your old self and you can play a lot of ball games in a row.
And he has been effective for them with that .292 average and 55 runs batted in. Guerrero to short. Griffin. One away.
From Ford.
To first base.
He says he feels fine. He's ready to go, excited about the second half of the season. Alfredo Griffin at short. Let's take a look at the Dodger defense. Gibson, Gonzalez, the rookie in center, and Marshall in right. Hamilton, Griffin, Randolph, and Murray on the infield with Scioscia, the battery mate of Oral Hershiser, making the start here tonight. This is Hershiser's 18th start of the season, looking for his 10th win. 4 ground balls in a row now, hit by the Cardinals. And here's Terry Pendleton. A lot of switch hitters in this Cardinals lineup, which over the seasons has really helped them out. And Pendleton is one of those switch hitters, batting .232 right-handed and .255 left.
The interesting thing about the switch hitters on the Cardinals, all of them are better hitters from the left side than they are from the right side.
That one to left field, a fly ball. Gibson. Joe, we can see some of the shadows out there in left field. Gibson went back on that baseball here with the early start West Coast time. How much effect will the shadows play in this game here?
Well, as the shadows behind home plate, as you can see the overall view of Dodger Stadium, the shadows behind home plate, when they creep out past the hit batter's box, that's when you have problems, because it's dark there and light out front.
We'll have more of those as we go along here. Brunansky takes the breaking ball for a strike. Tom Brunansky, acquired from the Minnesota Twins in the Tommy Herr deal, to give the St. Louis attack some power, with Jack Clark no longer, of course, in the Cardinal uniform for a couple of seasons. Brunansky's being relied on to deliver the long ball. Outside corner strike, 0-2.
What you see here is a guy like Oral Hershiser who has pinpoint control. Mike Scioscia sets up a little bit off the plate, and the umpire is so used to the guy being around the plate, when he hits the glove, he usually gets that.
Missed outside with it, and it looks as though early on Jerry Lane may have a fairly expandable width on that strike zone here.
Well, what will happen to be just the opposite with Ken Hill, because he is a little erratic. They will not give him the borderline pitches.
Worked him off the plate with that one, and the count goes 2 balls, 2 strikes. And if anyone can pinpoint the baseball, this guy can. Hershiser. Oral Hershiser, a year and a half ago, not a household name. He is now. Hit hard to right field, sending Marshall back on the warning track, and he hauls it in. Not an easy play, looking up into the sun. So after 4 straight ground balls, a couple of fly balls, 6 in a row, retired by Hershiser. Beautiful evening here at Dodger Stadium. Great to have you with us as the baseball season picks up in the second half. For the St. Louis Cardinals, one of the questions is, of course, pitching. Whitey Herzog has had to deal again with injuries. Cox and Matthews, a couple of pitchers he expected to have, both gone for the season. He's worked thus far with just 4 starters this year. And whether or not he can get through the season with that, he doubts it, because they've got 4 doubleheaders in the second half of the season.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt he will have to find a reliable 5th starter if they are going to stay in contention. I think he's done a fantastic job just to be 3 games out of the National League Eastern Division lead.
Not easy to do when you're working with just 4 starters, as he's done. And of course, they'll all be working here against the Dodgers, a 4-game series. So Herzog really hopes to be able to get some innings out of Ken Hill here. He's had to go to the bullpen often and early this season, and that is disturbing him. He has not had his ace Todd Worrell for the entire season. He's worried about really blowing some arms out in that pen if the starters don't get more innings in. 3-0 the count here on Hamilton, as again Ken Hill struggles with the leadoff man in an inning. You want Griffin to start the first. And he's behind on Hamilton 3-0. I repeat, he'll probably take that pitch. 3-0 count leading off. He's walked 18 leadoff batters.
And none of the first 3 pitches were even close, and that was ball 4. Well, there you see the answer right there. It's only walked twice.
Now we know why. He's forced to take this walk. He couldn't have swung at that if he'd wanted to. So Hill gives up another leadoff walk. Hamilton had only 10 base on balls last year. He's got 13 this year. I suppose that's a record for him. Huh?
Well, he probably would have swung at that, except it almost hit him. So he had to take that. I am really surprised that a Lasorda managed team swinging 3-0, especially with a guy who's not a home run hitter. If that was Kirk Gibson or your Eddie Murray's or Mike Marshall's, I would understand. But for a guy like Jeff Hamilton to be swinging 3-0, I don't know.
For a club that has had trouble scoring runs.
Right. He does have 8 home runs, but you still do not consider Hamilton a home run hitter.
Jose Gonzalez. First ball hitting to center field. Milt Thompson.
Tony Pena did a very smart thing there. He started him off with a curveball. He had thrown 4 fastballs out of the strike zone, so he started Jose Gonzalez off with a curveball and hit a fly ball.
So he's got the out with a runner remaining at first, and now Oral Hershiser will get a chance to do some work at the plate, and you can see not bad numbers for Hershiser. 9 for 45. He's picked up 4 doubles and a triple. It's part of his offensive attack, and is all good pitchers in the National League. He's dead serious about his hitting. Proudly displays them all, and here his job is to get him over. No play outside of first for Guerrero.
A good batting average for a starting pitcher is 200. That is kind of the cutoff mark. If you can hit 200 as a starting pitcher, you're doing a very good job.
Hershiser here, drawing the attention early. He didn't try and hide the bunt. He squared around already, and Hill isn't even ready to deliver. 0-1. They're charging both ways. Terrific bunt. Hill will go to a kendo covering, and the sacrifice for Hershiser.
Normally, your good pitchers are able to bunt or use the bat well, maybe even hit and run with some of them. Rick Russell is probably the best bunting pitcher in the National League, and Oral Hershiser does an excellent job of getting the ball down. You can see he had the barrel of the bat above the ball and out in front.
Now let's see if the Dodgers can get a big 2-out hit here, as Hamilton on the sacrifice ends up down at second base in scoring position. And the leadoff batter, Alfredo Griffin, who drew a walk his first time up, stands in with 2 now.
It's kind of interesting watching Ken Hill. He may be a guy that throws better out of the stretch than he does out of the windup. And maybe the reason is because he shortens his motion. He becomes more compact from the stretch position.
Might work on those leadoff batters. Maybe that is the reason. I mean, that sure would be an indication of it.
Well, he's a little more loose in his motion from the windup, but from the stretch he has a pretty tight knit motion from the stretch.
Griffin trying to get the runner in from second. 2-0 count on him. 2-1. Griffin has had a hot bat in this lineup for the Dodgers of late. Last dozen games he's hit over 340, but in that category, not strong numbers. He finished 240 last season with runners in scoring position. Dodgers have left a lot of people on base this season. 652. That is up there at the top in the National League. Scooped out by Tony Pena. 3 balls and 1 strike.
I think the reason for that is they just do not have consistent RBI men other than the 3 guys in the middle of their lineup. The Kirk Gibsons, the Eddie Murrays, and the Mike Marshall. The rest of the guys really are not consistent RBI men. I don't mean guys that drive in 90 or 100 runs, but even 60 to 65 and 50 in that area.
3-1 delivery is tapped off the end of the bat to Ozzie Smith. The running throw to first. And that will retire the side. No runs, no hits. The base runner left on at second. 3 left on in the first 2 innings for the Dodgers, who lead at 1-0. Now, Joe, we've been talking about the 2 managers, 2 of the best here, and Herzog and Lasorda matched up in this game. There has been no National League manager fired this season. That hasn't happened since 1971. These were the managers in the Eastern Division in the National League, and some pretty big names, including Red Schoendienst, who's going to the Hall of Fame. And the Eastern Division, some other big names, including Walter Alston, those 1-year contracts for 26 years here with the Dodgers. That's the last time, 1971, when the National League got to the All-Star break without a manager having been canned. And there's a base hit. Jose Oquendo puts one on the ground into right field, and Mr. Everything for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's the first hit, first base runner, as Hershiser had retired 6 in a row.
Well, I want to refer back to that graphic.
Yeah.
I think there was a mistake that year because some guys should have been fired. I was playing.
You were playing
Houston
that year. Okay, yeah. We don't want to make any particular names, but
right.
All right. Point made.
There you see Oquendo. He gets the bat out in front. Pretty short stride, nice swing. And that's the reason he's doing so well this year. He's hitting up over 285.
What a great story he is, Joe.
Exactly. I thought he was going to be the Mets shortstop for 15 years the first year I saw him play.
Here's Tony Pena. St. Louis Cardinals catcher, of course, acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And they're backstop now. And Hershiser try and hold him on at first base, as Oquendo does have some speed, even though he hasn't picked up a stolen base this season. He's been caught twice. Pena batting 8th, and the pitch out not going that time.
One of the things you do to try to keep the base runners honest, and especially a St. Louis Cardinal team, is you do pitch out a lot. And it's okay to pitch out with a guy like Hershiser because he throws strikes. The other teams get in trouble when they have a guy on the mound who cannot throw strikes, and then they do pitch out. It puts him in the hole. But Hershiser does not mind pitching from behind in the count.
A very tough pitcher to steal on. Only 3 of 7 have been successful stealing a base against him. And remember, that's in 134 innings plus now. 1-0 delivery, leg out. Tony takes a little dirt on the off-speed delivery that didn't move.
The reason that he's tough to steal off of is he keeps the runners pretty close at first base. As we're going to look at, this was a high curveball that hung inside, and Pena had to go down. But Hershiser does not have a real quick move to the plate, but he starts quick. By that I mean he moves his hands very quickly and is deceiving to the base runner. The base runner thinks he has a quick motion to the plate, but if you watch him, it takes him quite a bit of time to deliver the ball.
There goes Oquendo, and it's a hit and run, and it's a base hit out of the reach of Willie Randolph, and Oquendo will go to third, and it's the Cardinals' turn. Another perfect hit and run execution. Tony Pena that time, and St. Louis with a couple of hits. Runners at the corners and nobody out.
When you pitch out and you get behind an account and you make another bad pitch, then you set it up for the offensive team to be in control. 2-0, he has to come in with a pitch for Tony Pena, and he drives it to right field. Actually, the Dodgers guessed correctly in that Willie Randolph was not covering the bag. Alfredo Griffin was, but he just shot it through the hole anyway.
1-0 Dodger lead, and Hill is swinging away. The pitcher is 23 years old with some good numbers. Batting .265. You see the 3 RBIs he's picked up. He has had 1 extra base hit, a double. Nobody out here. 1 ball, 1 strike.
A lot of times in this situation you would see a bunt by the pitcher just to sacrifice Pena from first base into scoring position. But with a guy like Ken Hill, who obviously swings the bat pretty well, Whitey Herzog's going to turn him loose.
And turn him loose he does on the breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But you've got a smart pitcher on the mound as well, and he's not going to give him a pitch that he can handle. He's thrown him 2 breaking balls out of the strike zone.
And the Dodger infield playing it halfway here. Oquendo at third with speed. And now the infield's backing up with a 1-2 count. They'll go for 2, but they won't have to worry about it on Hill. who becomes the first strikeout victim, and that's 99 strikeouts on the year now for Orel Hershiser. One away.
If you're a hitter against Hershiser, you have to make him throw strikes. See, that pitch is out of the strike zone. But what Hershiser does so well is he starts the pitch in the strike zone and it moves out. And most hitters are just not disciplined enough to take that pitch. When it starts in the strike zone, they're usually swinging at it.
So Ken Hill is down, and Hershiser will now face Vince Coleman. Coleman grounded out his first time up. 262 lifetime hitter coming into the season, and of course Whitey Herzog's concern with Coleman is how to get him on base. 24 infield hits picked up this season for Coleman. That's the great speed that he has. And as we said, he's done well against Hershiser. Lifetime 8 for 25 off Orel. Hershiser missing with that one and falls behind on Coleman here. 2 balls and no strikes.
The only way you're going to double Vince Coleman is if he hits a ground ball near the bag at second base. And what we've seen so far is Hershiser's tried to pitch him a little bit off the plate outside, hoping that he would try to pull the ball back toward the middle of the diamond, either to second base or shortstop. And that's the only way they could double him up. 2 short throws.
Coleman will take it outside, and Hershiser now behind 3 balls and no strikes. Saw Mark Crease setting the Dodger defense a moment ago as to how they want to play Coleman, who will slap the ball. There's Crease right there, trying to get folks where he wants them. 3-0 count. You let him swing?
No.
Oh yeah, easy to call after the pitch. 3-1.
I would have called no anyway. Whitey Herzog normally only lets his power hitters swing 3-0. The Pedro Guerreros and maybe the Tom Brunaskis.
So Vince Coleman, who has grounded into 2 double plays this season, now with a 3-1 count. He too one of the switch hitters, batting .275 left-handed, .243 right.
And there you see Hershiser was in the stretch and he stepped off. What he was trying to find out is if there was a hit and run on it, if the runner from first base was going to be breaking. And Pena did not give him any indication that he was going to be going.
3-1, 3-2. A lot of discussions early on. We're only in the 3rd inning here between the batters and the home plate umpire Jerry Lane.
Well, one of the problems now that the shadows are out across home plate, not only is it tough for the hitter to see the ball and hit it, it's also tough for the umpire to pick up the ball from the pitcher. It's tough for the catcher to catch the baseball. So it's really very tough on all 3 people involved at home plate.
3-2 count. And Coleman will foul it off, and Hershiser and Coleman will do battle again here at 3-2. There you see the base runners, 1st and 3rd, Akendo and Pena.
They are not sending Tony Pena from first base. They didn't send him 3-1, and they did not send him 3-2. They're counting on the speed of Coleman to keep them out of the double play, and they do not want Pena running in case Coleman does strike out. That would end the inning if he's thrown out at second base. So Whitey Herzog is using his speed to its best advantage here.
And he does strike out. 46 strikeouts along with 30 walks for Coleman this season. His on-base percentage not what he would like it to be. It's at .326. That's not where you want Coleman to be. He needs to get on more than that.
Well, Hershiser will throw any pitch at any time, so he can't sit on the fastball here.
Lost him. And look at Coleman. He's walking down the first baseline with his bat in hand. This is for the home plate umpire's benefit. That's a real show-up right there. He did not trot down to first. He walked away as though he was waiting for the home plate umpire to call it a strike. And Jerry Lane saw that. Strike zone may get a little larger the next time he comes up.
Well, this pitch is actually not even close. As you can see, the ball tails way outside. In fact, Scioscia has to reach a good 1.5 feet outside just to catch the baseball. But there's what you were talking about. Coleman did not throw the bat away until he was halfway down the line.
Now Hershiser with the bases loaded. 1 down. He needs the double play. And Milt Thompson with the sacks full and those kind of numbers up gets the opportunity right here.
Here's another guy that's very tough to double up, and with the fact that they're not holding Vince Coleman on at first base, he should be able to get a good jump at first base and break up the double play at second base.
A lot of speed out there. Oquendo, Pena, and Coleman on the base paths. Take the throw to first. Socia does, but nobody's covering, and the count goes to a ball and a strike. Thompson has really done the Cardinals proud in these situations. There's Pena at second and Coleman at first. Runners in scoring position for him this season. He's hitting .325. Big number for the veteran Milt Thompson. 1-1. 2-1. You don't see many innings like this where Hershiser really has to bear down and work.
Well, what has happened is they're not swinging at the bad pitches. I think that's the key. The only one that did was a pitcher, Ken Hill, and he struck out. But the other hitters have shown a lot of discipline in laying off the pitches that he's throwing out of the strike zone. As I mentioned at the beginning of the ball game, he will not throw strikes if you do not make him throw strikes. He will start the ball in the strike zone and let it sink out. And if you swing at that, he'll have you eating out of his hand all day long.
Bases loaded, 1 out, 2-1 delivery. And he missed inside and not getting the corner calls now as the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike.
Actually, the ball sunk out of the strike zone.
Hershiser's 3-1, and he walks in a run. Orel Hershiser, the second walk given up. And this game is tied at 1 apiece. Oquendo crosses the plate. He led the inning off with a single. We'll credit the RBI to Milt Thompson.
Well, Thompson showed a lot of discipline there. And I think a lot of times hitters go to the plate with the wrong idea when they go with the bases loaded. They go up to say, I need to get a base hit. I need to get a base hit. That's not the way to approach it. You approach it by saying to yourself, he has to get me out. And you see here, Thompson just waits it out and draws a base on balls, and he drives in a run. See, the pitcher's the one that's in trouble. He has to get you out. You do not have to get a base hit. You can score the run a lot of different ways, but you have to make him get you out.
And Thompson picks up his 31st run batted in on the season to tie the ball game up. Bases remain loaded now. Still 1 away. And Ozzie, coming into this game with a 9-game hit streak, goes after a pitch, strike 1.
And true to form, Hershiser did not throw a strike. He threw a slider that broke down and out of the strike zone, but Ozzie chased it.
Full windup for Hershiser, and Ozzie lines at the third. 1 hop. They'll go to the plate. There's one. Socia the first. He gets the double play. 5-2-3. Ozzie Smith hitting into the double play, the 7th for Smith this season. Hershiser gets out of it, tied at 1.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York. A couple of familiar faces finally off the disabled list tonight at Toronto. Oakland's Jose Canseco, his wrist finally healthy, lifts a fly ball to right. Jose's first at bat of the year. Junior Felix will make the catch. Jose walks, steals, and scores in the 3rd. In Atlanta tonight, Mets first baseman Keith Hernandez base hit up the box, drives in Howard Johnson. Keith's been out since mid-May with a broken kneecap. Back to Gary in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Corey. And for the Oakland A's, incredible job by that ball club under Tony La Russa, that despite all the injuries they've had, they start the second half just a game and a half behind the California Angels. Angels, incredible first half, winning 52 ball games, as did Oakland, but with a .612 winning percentage, the best in the major leagues. 1-1 ball game here as we go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And the Dodgers avoiding, could have been a much bigger bullet in that 3rd with that double play, have Randolph, who singled, leading it off. 2 balls and no strikes.
And again, from the windup, he falls behind 2-0 to the leadoff hitter. And I think, as I mentioned, he's just a little loose from the windup. He's not quite as tight with his motion.
The outside corner on that one, 2 balls and 1 strike. He has walked the leadoff batter in the first 2 innings. And in the first, it was Griffin who came around to score on Eddie Murray's RBI single. Ken Hill. 2-1 the second. Not going to walk this one. Oquendo. Randolph's retired, 1 away.
One of the things he did there, he slowed his windup down, which I think has been one of his problems at the beginning of the ball game. He slowed his windup down and let the rest of his body catch up. From the stretch, you're automatically in a slow position. So maybe he has corrected his problem just by slowing his motion down from the beginning of the windup.
Kirk Gibson, one of the few Dodgers hitting Cardinal pitching. This series this season has been incredible. Gibson has picked up a couple of hits now in 7 times to the plate. Lifetime of .353 hitter against St. Louis. 1-0 is lashed down the left field line. That's trouble if it's fair. It's fair, and it's trouble into the corner. Played by Coleman. Gibson going to second as a stand-up double. First extra base hit of the ball game. Kirk Gibson going the other way with it. Is on second base with his 7th double.
Well, he got a fastball down and in, and he shoots it down the left field line. There you see the ball down and in. You can see Tony Pena actually was reaching the backhand it. Coleman does a good job of cutting it off, but with a guy like Kirk Gibson, it's impossible to keep him from getting a double out of that play.
So with 1 away, Dodgers with a runner in scoring position. Talking about the series, which the Cardinals lead 7 games to 1 this year. The Cardinals have outscored the Dodgers in the games coming into this one 45 to 15, including a couple of blowouts of 12 and 14 run games. While the Dodgers team batting average against St. Louis in 8 games is .201.
Oh man,
you believe that? And the Cardinals are hitting .319 against Dodger pitching. Pick off at second. Ozzie going over to take it.
One of the things you saw there on the pickoff, Kirk Gibson did not slide. The reason for that is if he runs right back to the base, he shields the ball away from Ozzie Smith. Or if it hits him, it'll go into the outfield. You see most base runners slide back into second base, and that's what the shortstop wants. But if you stand up, you block his view from the pitcher.
Eddie Murray with 1 RBI, a chance for another. Pushes that one foul. Murray coming into the game 10th at RBIs, now has picked up his 48th, and he has been Mr. Consistency. Murray over the seasons, even his bad years, look good. There you see them. Look at that. That's the worst he's ever done from different years in that low column. Most ball players would be glad to take that
yes,
for a season,
would.
any season. And the highs are outstanding. He's just a very consistent player. Now 33 years old. And he takes the pitch outside by Hill. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 away. Gibson at second. And the game tied at 1. And there is Mike Marshall waiting on deck. And Hill's going to step off. Last year, Murray had a sensational second half of the season. After the All-Star break, he hit .320. That was the 5th best in the American League, with the Orioles, of course. And he lashes that one up the middle. Gibson's going to make the turn. They'll send him home. There'll be no play. And Murray, 2 RBIs. And the Dodgers lead it 2-1.
Talking to Eddie Murray before the ball game, he seemed very relaxed and really felt like he was confident in the fact that he was going to have a good second half of the season. And that's a fastball that's tailing away, and he just lines it straight back through the middle. And by the time Thompson tracks it down, there's no chance to get Gibson at the plate. He keeps his hands back and then throws the barrel of the bat at the baseball. Good swing.
49 RBIs in the year, and Marshall to center field. Milt Thompson. And that'll hold Murray on at first base, and Marshall becomes the second out of the inning. Well, we were talking about how they needed the RBI production from the middle. Murray has given them that.
Well, Murray still has a chance to drive in 100 runs. He has just not done as well as he has in some seasons in the past, but he still has 49 runs batted in.
Nothing wrong with that.
He still has an opportunity to drive in 100 runs for the Dodgers.
Here's Mike Scioscia, first All-Star appearance on Tuesday, crosstown in Anaheim. He was in for 3 innings. Had a fly ball out and his only at bat in the All-Star game. And Scioscia takes it for a strike. 2-1 now. Dodgers out hitting the Cardinals 4-2.
Speaking of the All-Star game, we should discuss that a little later.
I was just going to ask you about.
Yeah. Well,
you're
two
still,
outs.
You're still fuming. We start now and finish on the 9th. Ken Hill with the 0-1. You were not enthralled.
Well, I thought the National League left off some players that could have really helped them win the ball game. I'm speaking of guys like Lonnie Smith from the Atlanta Braves, who was having a great first half. Ed Whitson of the Padres, he's 11-6 with a 2.51 earned run average. He lost a couple of games 1-0. And I'm speaking of Robbie Thompson of the Giants. I thought Robbie Thompson, in my opinion, was the best second baseman in the National League the first half of the season. Of course, you can't slight the guys who were there, but I think Robbie Thompson should have been there also.
You still favor the fan voting?
Well, I think the fans should vote, but I think the extra men are the ones that I have my gripes against this time. I think the fans should be involved in the game as they have been. I think it's great for the fans to vote. But I just feel like, as we get a look at Eddie Murray, I think he was going to steal there and got caught in between. But I still think that the reserves are the important part of the All-Star game. I'll tell you why in a second.
1-2 with 2 down. And that one to left field. Vince Coleman turning the Jets on. Didn't get a good break, and it's a fair ball. Murray will have to hold at second. Coleman did not get a good jump on that one, and even with that speedster's Jets, he could not catch it, and it fell in fair territory for a Scioscia single.
Down the lines here at Dodger Stadium, the air is dead. When you hit a ball right down the line, the ball dies. It just falls straight down. You see Coleman is hustling all the way trying to get there, but the ball hits fair about 5 feet. And there you see Eddie Murray as he rounds second base, but he's not able to go to third because the play was right in front of him. So Scioscia dumps one in down the left field line. Don't let me forget about the All-Star game.
We'll get back to that All-Star game, I promise. That's 5 hits off Hill now for the Dodgers. And now with 2 on and 2 down, Hamilton. Not a good break from center by Thompson. Coleman coming over. Who's going to get it? Thompson. He did not see that baseball off the bat, and he had stopped. He thought Coleman was going to play it, and Hill avoids disaster with a play made by Thompson. Dodgers lead it.
ABC's Thursday Night Baseball. Brought to you by the Heartbeat of America. Today's Chevrolet.
Leading off for St. Louis.
No, we were just talking about Joe Morgan, the All-Star game, and the National League not having the players. Tommy Lasorda, before the game, actually apologized that he didn't have the people to get the job done. And Joe talking with him, here's Lasorda's remarks.
There are certain guys that should have been on that team that weren't on that team, and I want to mention their names. I think Lonnie Smith should have been on the team. I think that that Thompson from San Francisco should have been on it. I think that Billy Doran from Houston should have been on it, and I thought that Dennis Martinez from Montreal should have been on it. Unfortunately, we have to have representation from all teams in the league, and sometimes it affects other fellas from being on. You know, you played on a lot of them, and I want to write each of those guys a letter and tell them how bad I feel, and I wanted them to be on it.
Interesting from the manager, Joe.
Very interesting.
Just what you were saying.
Well, I agree with him. In fact, I even agree with the guy he mentioned that I didn't, and that's Dennis Martinez, who was 9-1 for Montreal, and Montreal's leading the National League East. So they, you know, that's one of the reasons they're leading is because of Dennis Martinez.
Some honesty from the skipper right there. Hershiser to former teammate Guerrero. Ball 2. Pedro leading it off here with Pendleton and Bernansky to follow. The Dodgers 2 runs, 5 hits. The Cardinals a run on 2 hits. Top half of the 4th inning.
But one more note on that.
Yes.
You were talking about the fans voting. I think that's fine. See, in my opinion, the reserves are the ones that win or lose an All-Star game. When you put 9 guys out there, they're usually pretty comparable. But when you bring in the reserves.
That one to third. Hamilton's throw is on time. They've got it. Let's go to New York for an update.
All right, Gary, Corey McFerrin in New York. Mets off to a good second half start. Darryl Strawberry in the 5th inning in Atlanta takes Pete Smith deep right here. Solo shot gives the Mets a 3-0 lead. His 18th Mets after their 4th straight.
Thank you, Corey. There are going to be some great races, and the Eastern Division of the National League is going to be one of them here in the second half. Dodgers leading 2-1. Joe?
Well, I was just finishing up. I think the reserves are the ones that win or lose a ball game in the All-Star game. So I think that's where the managers and the coaches have their say. So I think it's okay for the fans to vote for the popular players or whatever they might want. But the managers are supposed to vote for the players that can help them win, you know, the All-Star game, and it's usually reserves.
They play more of it than the starters do. Back to second, Willie Randolph on the money, and Pendleton is retired. He's 0 for 2, and there are 2 down. Here in the Cardinals half of the 4th inning at Dodger Stadium. The Cardinals picking up their run in the 3rd inning. Jose Akendu led the inning off with a single, came in on a bases-loaded walk to Milt Thompson, while the Los Angeles Dodgers scored in the 1st on a leadoff walk to Griffin and a RBI single picked up by Murray. Murray delivered again in the 3rd after a Gibson double. Now with 2 down here, Tom Brunansky, who leads this ball club in home runs, which is not to say he's going to be up among the leaders, because the St. Louis Cardinals have had only 32 home runs all season. And that's a strike from Hershiser, 1-1.
And talking to Eddie Murray again before the ball game, he said St. Louis was unbelievably big. It was a ballpark that he hit 2 or 3 balls he thought were gone, and they didn't even get to the warning track.
Cardinals have truly been one of the teams of the modern day era, with the large ballpark, the big alleyways, the artificial carpet, and you've had to build a ball club of speed around it, not only for offensive purposes but also to cover that huge area in the outfield. Hershiser 2-1, misses with that one. 3 balls and 1 strike.
And I think Whitey Herzog has used the speed better than any other manager I've ever seen. He knows how to use his speed. You don't just run all the time.
Inside corner, 3-2.
And there you see what Hershiser does so well. He's behind 3-1. Brunansky's sitting on the fastball, and he throws him a 3-1 curveball. Now Brunansky doesn't know what's coming, so he can go back to the fastball. He can throw any pitch he wants here.
Full count fastball is off the handle, left center field. Gibson will be waved off by Gonzalez, the center fielder. And Orel Hershiser retires the Cardinals in order here in the 4th inning. Hershiser out on top with the Dodgers coming up in the 4th, 2-1. A reminder on Saturday's ABC's Wide World of Sports, undefeated Darren Van Horn puts his IBF junior middleweight title on the line against Italy's Gianfranco Rossi. A scheduled 12-round bout from Atlantic City, plus same-day coverage of cycling's greatest event. The Tour de France continues. Boxing and cycling Saturday. Those are the standings after leg 13, which will be coming up after 12. 13 will be tomorrow, and there are 21 legs in the Tour de France, and you will be seeing this weekend's coverage. We'll include the leg that goes through Marseille. Will be coming up here on ABC. Greg LeMond right now is second, just 7 seconds behind the leader. That one is drilled in the air to deep left center field. On the fly for it, Coleman, and the center fielder Thompson. Oh, a couple of jets burning across Dodger Stadium right there, and Thompson can play some center field.
And that's where that defensive speed comes in for the Cardinals. Both of the guys, I think, could have caught the ball. It looked like it was in the gap as Gonzalez gets this high fastball, and he drives it. You can see both of them are actually calling, but since Milt Thompson is a center fielder, he gets the last word in. But you see both of these guys could catch this ball if they would have had to. Nice play by Thompson. Nice communication between the 2 outfielders as well.
They better have communication, because with their speed, they're going to meet a lot in the alleyway out there. So Ken Hill gets some defensive help. These St. Louis Cardinals have committed just the 2nd fewest errors this season, 63. Philadelphia's committed only 60. Tough for Philadelphia to be the best defensive team, but they've got nothing else to go with it. No hitting, no pitching. 2-strike delivery, and it's taken outside by Hershiser, who sacrificed his first time up.
One of the things I mentioned last inning is that Kenny Hill has slowed his motion down, and I think that's the reason he's throwing more strikes on his windups. He's taken a little more time to get the ball to the top of his windup. Before, he was kind of rushing through it, and I don't think his body was catching up. And from the stretch position, you automatically slow down.
You got a 2-2 count right here, and Hershiser Makes it 3-2.
And as soon as I say that, he rushes through a pitch again.
Facing the opposing pitcher.
Yeah, if you watch his motion and he seems to take a little more time, that's the way he wants to do it. And there you see Tony Pena giving him some type of sign. So he slows down, he's okay.
3-2. Hershiser, the third. Terry Pendleton. And then Ken Hill has a couple outs here in the fourth inning. See Terry Pendleton out good part of last season with injuries. Take a look at what's going on around Major League Baseball as the second half kicks in. The final today, Chicago beating San Diego, and everyone's talking about the Cubs in that division. Houston 11-4, and there'll be some doubleheaders played in the second half. Cincinnati leading over Montreal, New York leading Atlanta. Pittsburgh, San Francisco will be a later start. Other games in the National League.
I'm sitting here analyzing the pitcher, and I saw Bob Gibson of the Cardinals today. If he heard me do that, he'd say, Joe, all you know about pitching is hard to hit.
But he said that to every hitter.
Right.
Because it was true.
Yes, it was, when he was on the mound.
2 down and nobody on. Tim McCarver tells great stories about catching Gibson and trying to go out to the mound to talk with him.
I can imagine.
Got about halfway out. What do you want? If I need you, I'll tell you. There you see the American League, the Orioles. Can they do it? California, of course, with that great record. Oakland's doing it to Toronto. New York, Kansas City. Texas, Cleveland tied. Detroit leading Seattle. Boston, Minnesota tied up. That's going to be a base hit. Griffin's on. Leadoff man with a 2-out single here in the fourth inning. So he's been on twice with a walk and a single. He scored the first Dodger run in the first inning. That's the Dodgers' 6th hit now off Ken Hill. They've had 1 extra base hit, a double by Gibson.
You know, my favorite Bob Gibson story was told to me by Joe Horner. He said, you know, Bob Gibson's the luckiest pitcher I've ever seen. He says whenever he pitches, the other team doesn't seem to score.
Spoken like a true batter. 2 down. 2-1. Dodgers on top of the Cardinals. And that one towards the middle, but Ozzy's there. Goes to Akendo at second base, and that will do it. Randolph hitting into the forced play. No runs on a base hit. And 1 left on. We'll return after this message and news headlines from our ABC stations.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York, and a big story brewing in the Bronx. And no, it doesn't revolve around Bo Jackson. It's Andy Hawkins, perfect through 5. Alvaro Espinoza, terrific defensive play here. Bare hand pickup to nail Jackson by a hair. Again, Hawkins, perfect through 5. The Yankees are up 2-0. Now back to Gary.
Thank you, Corey. We'll keep you posted on how Andy Hawkins prevails. Jose Akendo, we told you first time up, he's Mr. Everything. Look at this. In his career, this is how many times he's played at each of the positions. Twice, in fact, he has been a pitcher, including 1 time last season when he came on in relief. May 14 versus Atlanta. He pitched 4 innings. He allowed 2 runs. Cardinals 7-5 19-inning loss. And here's Jose Akendo, the hitter.
When I first saw him, I think he was like 17, maybe 18 years old, and he played shortstop for the New York Mets. And I thought he was going to be there for at least 15 years, and they end up trading him right away, and they traded him to a place where he couldn't play shortstop, and that's St. Louis because of Ozzie Smith. And now he's become an excellent second baseman, and he's always been one of my favorite players, a guy that if I was managing a team, I would like to have on my ball club.
Everybody says that about him who's been with him. He takes the strike right there, and Akendo, let a single and scored, becomes the second strikeout victim. Laurel Hershiser, 1 away here in the 5th inning. Hershiser, a couple of walks and 2 strikeouts.
This is a fastball that starts inside. See, it's way inside. There you see it tailed back over the inside corner. Nice pitch by Hershiser. What happens as a left-handed hitter, when that ball starts inside, you kind of give up on it. And then the movement of the ball brings it back over the inside corner.
Tony Pena, over 4,000 at-bats in his career now. And Hershiser fooled him badly on that breaking ball, and so badly he's going to go home.
I've seen Tony swing like that a lot. I think Tony makes up his mind that he's going to swing at the first pitch. And even if it bounces, as this one does, that 55-foot curveball that Hershiser's displayed today, he still swings at it. There are a lot of hitters that make up their mind that they're going to swing when they leave the dugout.
Tony is one of those. He is one of the free swingers of the game, especially when he's up there and is ahead on the counter, in that case, first pitch to him in an inning.
And then he takes a strike.
Yeah. 0-2. That was a lot closer than the other one. He is one of the truly fun people of this game. He just enjoys being at a ballpark and playing baseball. And it's evident when you watch him. And again, he lashes out. We talk about bad ball hitters. He's worse than a bad ball hitter.
Well, there are a lot of guys that can hit the ball out of the strike zone. And there are other guys who cannot. This is an 0-2 pitch. The ball is a breaking ball. It's a little better pitch than Hershiser wanted because it's actually a strike. But you can see Tony reach out and get it, and you can see him looking at Hershiser just to say, what kind of pitch was that?
What are you throwing me? Swung on and grounded off the handle at first. Hershiser covering. Takes the flip from Eddie Murray, and Pena's retired. And there are two down, and here we've got a real hot discussion at first base. Tony Pena, Bob Engel. That looked like a little residue from something else.
Well, it had to have been something that happened earlier in the year, because I don't think anything happens here. There you see Hershiser. He tags the bag, and then he drags his foot.
Tony's arguing about the position of the umpire. Bob Engel was way outside of first base there, and he was saying you couldn't see whether he touched it or not. Pitch is taken outside by Ken Hill.
Well, we'll get another look at it as you see Tony runs down the line, and he yells that he missed the bag, and that's what he's talking about. You're on the inside, and you can't see it from there. That's alert base running by Tony. But that is actually the place that the umpire would go, is to the inside, outside of the foul line.
He did not want a collision with Tony Pena and Hershiser and anybody else who got over there. Ken Hill, who struck out his first time up, good hitting pitcher. Young man, part of this starting rotation now, has faced the Dodgers 4 times already before this game. He's got a 2-0 record. This is the 5th start that he's made in the 9 games now that these two teams have played. So Tony cooling off, and Hershiser is mowing him down. He retires the side in order, and for Orel Hershiser, now that's 7 in a row that he's set down as the Dodgers maintain a 2-1 lead. Jim Ruggleman, the first base coach, talking with Pena, is still a little hot about that call at first base with Hershiser was covering.
Well, I think Ruggleman was explaining to him, he says, from my view, he touched the bag, and I'm on the inside, like the umpire.
He continued this when he came up behind the plate. He was talking with Hershiser. Look,
and Hershiser
you were
says
out.
You're out.
I touched the bag. Tony says, "Hey, if I got you going now," which is all he wanted in the first place. Not bad. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Gibson, Murray, and Marshall. That's about as effervescent as you'll see Orel Hershiser. A very controlled pitcher.
Well, when he puts on his game face, he usually keeps it until he's out of the ball game.
Tony got underneath him a little bit. Gibson with a double and reached on a fielder's choice. He scored a run in the 3rd inning after the double. Eddie Murray has picked up both RBIs in this game with a couple of singles. And Ken Hill has the count 0-2 on Gibson.
Normally you do not make this comment about a young pitcher, that he gets better as the game goes along because he gets his rhythm, but I think that's what's happening here with Ken Hill. He seems to have better rhythm now. He slowed his motion down from the windup, and he's able to spot the ball a little better.
Fouled off. Question of endurance we were talking about before for the Cardinal pitchers. Hill has had 7. This is his 18th start, yet his record is only 5-4. So he has had a lot of non-decision games, which doesn't mean he's pitched poorly.
Right. It means that maybe the short relievers aren't doing their job.
And that one just missed. Pena will now have a discussion with the home plate umpire, but won't turn around. You see, Pena's getting involved with everybody. This is a Tony Pena kind of game. He got Gibson to turn around and look at him. Tony's umpiring tonight. 2-2.
You could see Gibson start into the pitch because the pitch before was away, and he started toward the outside corner, and this pitch is in. Watch him. He starts toward the outside corner right there. Now he realizes this is not going outside.
We could only ump the catcher. Just mic him up a little bit and let him call the game. Swung on and and missed. Hill has his first strikeout of the game. Eddie Murray coming up. We had a chance to talk with him before the game, and looking ahead to the second half for the Dodgers. Eddie Murray, what do you see?
I don't know. It depends on the way we come out and swing the bats. You know, if we do that, and I tell you, we have some people here who can do that. If we can come out and swing the bats, we can maybe make a little run at somebody. You know, like you don't count 11 games out and just say, let's pack up the bags. You know, our pitching is the best in the league, and there's no doubt or no reason why they shouldn't come out and, I think, throw the ball the second half. But the hitters, we're going to have to score a few more runs.
I'll tell you, he's doing his share. He's 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. That's the 3rd single in the game for Eddie Murray.
Well, I talked to him, as I said, before the ball game, and I found him to be a lot more relaxed than the other times I've talked to him during the season. And he seems to be staying back. Watch his hands. He keeps his hands back. And right there is a very fine power position for Eddie Murray. And you can see he keeps his follow through right through the baseball. Nice swing. And he's 3 for 3.
7 hits now off Ken Hill. Again, only 1 extra base hit, the Gibson double. Dodgers trying to do it the hard way here, and Marshall fouls that pitch back, no play.
What we see now, though, with Ken Hill and Tony Pena is giving him his signals and his target inside, outside, up and down. At the beginning of the ball game, he was just giving him a target to throw strikes. Now I think he feels that he has a little better control, so he tried to go inside on Mike Marshall there, and he made a good pitch.
Marshall, a .249 lifetime hitter against the Cardinals, but he has 9 home runs, 9 career home runs off St. Louis. Swung on and missed. Last year he had a big season against St. Louis pitching. He hit .381. That was the 7th best average in the league against the Cardinals. And he had 4 home runs, 1 here and 3 in St. Louis. You can see the home runs, though, have not been coming frequently for Mike Marshall.
Well, his biggest problem this year has been a bad back, and you know, I'm not going to hit a lot of home runs if you have a bad back.
There's been a long-standing problem for Mike Marshall. He taps that one foul outside of third.
You can see that was an excellent pitch by Ken Hill when the count 0-2. Pena set up outside with a curveball, and he threw it, breaking down and away. Actually, it looks like Oral Hershiser type pitch. 0-2. See, this pitch starts on the plate. Now it breaks down and away, and there's nothing Mike Marshall can do with it if he puts it in play fair. It's just going to be a ground ball someplace. So that's a good 0-2 pitch. Now he's got him set up if he wants to come back inside with a good fastball, and that's what he should be doing here.
One away. Runner at first is Murray. Busted him and got him.
Well, he came inside with a good fastball, but he got a little too far inside.
Forearm.
For a guy that they pitch inside a lot, Marshall has trouble getting out of the way. And you could see Ken Hill was coming inside with a fastball to try to strike him out. He wants to throw the fastball up and in, which is where Mike Marshall is most vulnerable, but the ball tails in more than Ken Hill wants it to, and a lot more than Mike Marshall wants it to.
Right.
And you can see he can't get out of the way, and he gets him on the right forearm.
At 91 miles an hour. That's the 5th time that he has been hit. You're right, he leads the Dodgers. And being hit by a pitch, Hill has now hit 4 this season.
Well, because he's vulnerable inside, they're going to pitch him inside, and he doesn't get out of the way too well on the balls inside.
So the Dodgers, who are leading 2-1, now have runners at first and second. Murray goes down to second base. Marshall at first, and Whitey Herzog looking out here with a couple on, and the Dodgers threatening again here in the 5th inning with Mike Scioscia, who picked up the single, his first time to the plate. Another thing we haven't commented on, Joe, is how far Hill is on the side of that rubber.
Well, he pitches from the extreme third base side. Oral Hershiser pitches from the first base side of the rubber. There you can see Hill is on the extreme left-hand side if you're facing him from the plate.
Against the left-hander.
I would think that normally, I know Hershiser does it for a reason, but I'm not so sure why Ken Hill does it, because he does not throw a slider that much that breaks that far away from the right-handed hitter where he would want to have a crossfire effect. He's kind of a straight over the top pitcher. There you see Mike Rourke, the pitching coach, coming out. But I think the reason you stand to one side or the other is so you can get a crossfire on the right-handed hitter, or you stand to the extreme other side so you can get the ball tailing away from the left-handed hitter. But I think he comes straight over the top more or less, so it really doesn't give him any advantage. I think he's just more comfortable from that side of the mound.
You would think it would make it easier for the left-hander because he's seeing that ball coming in with a good view of it from that third base side.
Well, it probably does make it a little easier, but if he was going to throw sidearm or, you know, maybe three-quarters every once in a while, I think it would be to his advantage to throw from that corner against right-handed hitters. But he's basically a straight over-the-top pitcher, and his slider is not his best pitch, so I don't think it really gives him any advantage.
Now Socia will try and get it done here. John Costello warming up in the bullpen, and the pitch is taken outside. Pena, who went out to draw a little bit of time for the St. Louis Cardinals to get somebody heated up because they cannot afford to get too far behind here.
We get a look at his motion here. See, since he does not drop down or throw sidearm, really it's no advantage. See, he's right over the top. So there's no advantage to him to be on that side, but there's no disadvantage either. So
2-0, and he's in trouble now. 3 balls and no strikes on Socia.
The last 2 pitches, he has tried to guide the ball into the strike zone. Before, even when he was behind the hitters, he really threw the ball hard. He turned it loose. I think since he hit Mike Marshall with a pitch, he has really tried to guide the ball into the strike zone. See, here he doesn't really fire the baseball. That's more of a try to throw a strike pitch.
Socia will take, and the bases are loaded. And that's 3 walks given up now by Ken Hill. A single, a hit batter, and a walk has loaded the bases for the Dodgers here in the 5th inning with only 1 away.
What happens to a lot of pitchers is when they hit someone and they were not trying to knock the hitter down or do anything special, it kind of messes with their psyche. They start to trying to get the ball away so they won't hit another hitter. And I think that may be what has happened here to Ken Hill, because he is not throwing quite as freely or as hard as he was at the beginning of the inning.
Now Jeff Hamilton with the bases loaded and 1 away. The Dodgers leading 2-1. Hamilton has been a pretty good clutch hitter, and Hill gets a big first strike on him. Last season, Jeff Hamilton hit .282 with runners in scoring position. Again, we point out the Dodgers need for these kinds of hits that they are not getting this year. They have already left 6 on in the first 4 innings of this game. And they've got the bases loaded here with 1 out. Infield for 2. Strike 2.
Well, he's thrown 2 very good breaking balls here to Jeff Hamilton. And here again, I have to give Tony Pena some credit, because he saw that Ken Hill was not releasing the fastball completely. He was trying to aim it. So he's come back with 2 good breaking balls, and he's thrown them both very freely, which I think has been a very good tact here for Tony Pena to try.
Hamilton has already had the salami this season. He had a grand slam home run at Montreal on May 19. And he's got the bases loaded right here, but he's got a 2-strike count on him. Hill working out of the stretch. 0-2. That one's towards center field. Tagging up at third is Murray. Thompson makes the catch. Throw to the plate, off balance, just wide of the mark, cut off. It's a sacrifice fly and an RBI for Hamilton, and the Dodgers lead it 3-1. Well, Hamilton gets the job done. He got the run in, his 3rd sacrifice fly of the season.
Well, he had an 0-2 count here. And if he would have not have hit Marshall, I think he would have come back with a fastball inside. But instead, he throws a breaking ball, and it kind of hangs out over the plate. He hits the fly ball to center field, and you see Murray coming home. No chance for Thompson to throw him out from that deep a position in center field.
Runners stay at first and second now with 2 down. And Gonzalez rats at the third. Good pickup by Pendleton. The force play at second to Akendo. And that will retire the side, but the Dodgers are going to add another run. They only had 1 hit in the inning. We'll return after a word from our ABC stations.
This is Corey McFerrin again. Jose Canseco back in the lineup for Oakland tonight in Toronto, but it's Dave Parker in the 5th inning who has the big shot off of Jimmy Key, and here it is. The line shot just over the wall, a 3-run homer. Makes it a 5-run game. Right now it's 9-5. Oakland leads in the top of the 6th. Gary?
Thank you, Corey. The Los Angeles Dodgers 3-1 over the St. Louis Cardinals as we go to the 6th inning. The Dodgers, as we said, need some wins. They are 11 games out in 5th place in their race in the Western Division as they try and defend. Vince Coleman will lead it off here. Top of the order. Reached with a walk. You come to the yard, you take it easy. Relax. Stretch them out. And enjoy. Thinking about the bunt for the base hit. Takes the breaking ball from Oral Hershiser. Talking about comebacks like the Dodgers need, there you see the teams who have made big second-half comebacks. As we said, though, no team has ever been in 5th place that far down with that many teams to jump over at the All-Star break since the All-Star game started in 1939. The Dodgers would have to do that in order to retain a division championship.
I think that's the key. It's not how many games they're behind, but how many teams they're behind. You know, they're trailing 4 ball clubs. And the reason I say that is when you go into divisional play, at the end, you'll be playing your own rivals. So someone has to win in front of the Dodgers. Everyone can't lose. Now, while they're playing the Eastern Division, everyone can lose. They can gain ground. But when they get back to their own division, you cannot make up ground because one of the 2 teams will be winning.
You may have said 39 in that All-Star game. Of course, started in 1933, and that's what we were talking about in numbers, trying to come back in the second half of the season. Vince Coleman just trying to get on here. This is a big road trip for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is the first of 4 games they'll play against the Dodgers. 11 games out here on the coast as they have the 4 against L.A., 3 against San Francisco, and 4 against the San Diego Padres. That's as long a road trip as you have to make in the course of a season, and Whitey Herzog doing it with just those 4 starters that we mentioned, but with a team on the road this season. It is 1 below 500. They're 17 and 18. Foul back.
When you look at the Western Division, the Giants have been the most consistent ball club in the Western Division. That's why they're in first place. Houston got hot, won 16 out of 17. The Reds have had hot streaks. I think all the other teams have had hot streaks, but the Giants have been just consistent from the opening of the season right on up to this point. And over a whole season, obviously, consistency is more important than hot and cold streaks. And I think Houston has fallen back to below 500, I think, since they won those 16 out of 17 ball games. But you can't expect to play and win 16 out of every 17.
That's what makes baseball such an interesting sport, is the length of it. And Coleman against Hershiser. Goes down swinging. That's 4 strikeouts now for Oral Hershiser,
Center fielder,
who has not allowed a base runner since the 3rd inning when Thompson drew a walk.
Well, Hershiser gets you to chase the breaking ball out of the strike zone. See, this pitch starts right above the knees, and by the time Coleman swings at it, it's almost in the dirt.
In typical Oral Hershiser fashion, he's picking the pace up as far as effectiveness as this game moves along.
And that's the first pitch I remember him throwing above the waist.
That one to second base. Flipped by Willie Randolph, and there are 2 down, and he's making it look easy right now.
Well, he's using his sinker ball well, and he's throwing the breaking ball out of the strike zone, getting the hitters to chase him, and he only has given up 2 base hits.
Singles back-to-back in the 3rd inning by Oquendo and Pena when the Cardinals scored. It ended up being an RBI and a bases-loaded walk to Thompson in that inning. Ozzie, 9-game hit streak for Ozzie Smith coming into tonight's play. Yet another switch hitter in the lineup. And he takes the pitch down low, ball 1. Ozzie Smith against Oral Hershiser. Lifetime now is 9 for 29. Pretty good numbers. Stay around that 300 mark against Hershiser. We've got some patience.
Against the real good pitchers in the league, really out of 4 at bats, you're only going to get 2 real good chances to get base hits, 2 good pitches to hit. And you have to to be patient and make sure you take advantage of those pitches. A pitcher of lesser caliber than, say, Hershiser, you go to bat 4 times, you'll probably get 3 good pitches a hit if you're patient.
Hershiser's never been able to strike out Ozzie. 29 at-bats. They'll get a shot at it right here with a 2-2 count.
You just put Ozzie in the hole.
Why is that? There is something like, it's the Murphy's Law of broadcasting. If you say something that makes a point like that, guaranteed that the next pitch, if possible, it will go exactly the other way. Never fails. The other, of course, Murphy's Law of baseball, if you make a great defensive play, you must lead off the next inning. That also is a requirement in baseball. It's an unwritten rule.
If you get thrown out stealing, the guy gets a base hit.
The guy gets a base hit.
Pitch.
Absolutely. Just to make you feel real bad. 2-2 count. Not going to strike him out.
Not swinging.
And that's a fair ball. That's going to roll into no foul ball.
Well, he called it fair at first.
Third base umpire Dutch Renner called it fair and then changed the call. And Rich Hacker not real pleased, the third base coach.
Well, it's a breaking ball away, and he just tries to put the ball in play with a half swing, which he does. And you can see Hamilton comes over to field it, and the ball hits just inside the third base line fair, but it's where it crosses the bag, whether it's a fair ball or not. The umpire is out of the picture, but you could see there he's calling it foul, but he'd already called it fair before that. And you see, as Gary mentioned, Rich Hacker is not very happy with that. But I was surprised because Whitey Herzog and the bench would get the best view of that, and no one came out to argue.
Looked like it went right over the bag.
And there you see Herzog from his perch. He's looking right down the third baseline.
Well, the count remains 2-2.
I just wanted to give Ozzie another chance to strike out.
That's right. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
That was the first straight changeup that Hershiser has thrown in the ball game.
$2 million defenseman right there. And he takes the walk. Hershiser has walked 3 now. That's a 2-out walk. And Ozzie's on. Ozzie on at first base. We asked Ozzie before the game about Whitey Herzog, their manager. Can he make miracles happen?
He does, because he's able to utilize the personnel that he has. You know, when he's dealt a sour hand, you know, I don't think you see him cry about it. He just goes into his cards and see what he has and tries to get the most out of the people that he puts out there on the field. And to this point, he's been able to do that and do it more consistently than anyone else.
Ozzie Smith on Whitey Herzog, and the ground ball by Guerrero to Hershiser. And that'll do it. No runs, no hits, a base runner left on. The Dodgers behind Orel Hershiser, leading it 3-1.
This is Corey McFerrin again. Update on Andy Hawkins' bid for a perfect game here in New York. 2 outs in the 7th. George Brett at the plate, and here's Hawkins' pitch. Brett will wrap it to right field. Solid base hit. First base runner of the game for KC. Hawkins will have to settle for a shot at a one-hitter. It's 5-0, bottom of 7. Yanks lead. Gary?
Thanks, Corey. Gary Thorne and Joe Morgan here. Dodger Stadium, and Orel Hershiser trying to bunt one for a base hit. That one takes a strange hop. It's fair, and he's out. Pedro Guerrero. That one right off the edge of the grass. It was headed foul, ended up going fair. And Hershiser didn't have long enough to talk with the catcher, Tony Payne.
It's pretty good play, you know, to try to bunt your way on leading off an inning for a pitcher like Hershiser, try to get himself some insurance runs. But as you mentioned, it took a funny hop, and Pedro Guerrero makes the play unassisted.
A disgusted Orel Hershiser heads back to the bench to rest with his 3-1 lead. Only 2 hits off him in the ball game by the Cardinals. 1 away for the Dodgers here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Top of the order now, Alfredo Griffin. He's been on twice, a single and a walk, scored in the first when he drew that leadoff walk off Ken Hill. And he's got another base hit.
And this definitely looks like a different Alfredo Griffin this year than last year when he hit below the Mendoza line for the entire season. But he's actually swinging the bat very well. He's got some sting and some pop in his bat now. And obviously, if you've had a bad hand, it's very hard to swing. Watch this. Good quick swing. And he drives the ball to right field for a solid single.
Fourth lowest batting average in the National League last year at 199.
You mean there were guys lower than that?
There were a couple with who had 200 at bats. There were 3, to be precise.
And they're
Mendoza.
I wonder if those guys are in the minor leagues this year.
Double A. One away. Griffin on at first base, 6 for 7 in stealing bases. Randolph and he had a perfect hit and run on earlier in the ball game. Hill has gone the distance for the Cardinals, and Randolph's checking right now to see if anything's on here.
It's a big advertisement on the bat.
That is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That'll be outlawed shortly. There you see the numbers on Randolph as he takes the pitch down low. And Hill's behind on the count now, 2 balls and no strikes. And here's the hit and run situation if the Dodgers want to put it on.
When you have a guy that can use the bat as well as Randolph can, hit the ball to left field, right field, and you fall behind him, really you make him a much better hitter. When you go behind 2-0, you take him from a 290 hitter to a 375 or something like that, because it gives him so many options. He can shoot the ball to right field now if he gets the pitch away. They can hit and run and open up a hole for him, or he can just take a 2-0 fastball and try to drive it someplace. So you make him a much better hitter when you put him in that situation.
Randolph with a 2-0 count. Griffin with a lead at first, not going, and Randolph makes it 2 balls and 1 strike.
And they chose to let him swing away and try to drive the ball someplace. But he's still behind 2-1, and this is a better hit and run count actually than 2-0.
And again, Randolph steps out for the long look here on the sign. Three to 1, Dodgers on top. They've got 8 hits in the ball game now, out hitting the Cardinals 8-2. And Hill, aware of the possible hit and run, wants to hold Griffin at first as close as he can.
This is a cat and mouse game because the shortstop and the second baseman have to decide who's going to cover if Alfredo Griffin goes, and Randolph has to try to guess with him, because if the shortstop covers, he should try to hit the shortstop hole. If the second baseman covers, he's trying to hit the second base hole. But if he goes the opposite way and the guy's standing there, he only moves Randolph to second. He moves Griffin to second base.
2-1, runners going. It's up high. The throw down by Pena's right there. Dead meat. He is gone.
And there you see Alfredo Griffin looking back at home plate to find out what happened. I think it was a hit and run situation, but the pitch was up and in. You see him get his jump from second base, and you see him look back to see if they made contact. He did not. So now he knows he's on his own, and it's just a perfect play by Tony Pena.
The rifle arm right on the money. Ozzie taking the throw, and Randolph takes it up high. 3-2, 2 down. Watch Pena put this one on the money.
Well, it's a high. You see there, he has to get out of the way of the pitch. He can't swing, and as I mentioned earlier, Pena gets rid of the ball very quickly. And there you see Griffin was out by a mile.
Fly ball to center. And it's Milt Thompson settling under it, and that will do it. Dodgers are gone in the 6th inning. No runs on a hit. Nobody left on. That's the first inning where the Dodgers haven't left somebody on base.
ABC's Thursday Night Baseball. Brought to you by the Heartbeat of America. Today's Chevrolet.
Good pitching duel underway here, and next week, ABC's Thursday Night Baseball, home run king Kevin Mitchell, the Giants in Wrigley Field in Chicago against Dawson and the Cubs, or the California Angels take on the Detroit Tigers live at 8 Eastern next week right here on ABC's Thursday Night Baseball. There's a little cutie who's called it a day.
Well, father says he's spending time with his youngster.
And he is, and it's quality time. It's ice cream time.
He's probably eating his son's ice cream.
That's right. The son had just enough to take a little nap on. Top half of the 7th inning. 3 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 2 hits for the Cardinals. Cardinals scored off Hershiser in the 3rd inning when they had the back-to-back singles, the only 2 hits they picked up in the game. Kendo scored on a bases-loaded walk to Milt Thompson. It's the only way the Cardinals have been able to get to Hershiser. As Hershiser has not given up a hit, obviously, since the third, and only one base runner since then, the walk in the sixth. Terry Pendleton clobbers that one to right field. Marshall will play it on a hop, and Pendleton has a leadoff single. So there's the third hit for the Cardinals. And now let's go to New York, as one of the big guys is back with Oakland and apparently delivering. Corey?
Thank you, Al. Jose is back. A's Blue Jays update. Top of 7. Here he is. Jose Canseco. First game of the year, just off the disabled list. And it's crunch time to right field. A solo shot for Jose. His first homer since the World Series last fall. 10-7 Oakland.
Fouled back by Brunansky. 3-1. Dodger Stadium. Gary Thorne and Joe Morgan with you. And you can bet Canseco loves that one.
Well, he only has 39 home runs and 40 steals to go to match last year's 40-40.
He's got a half a season.
Yeah, he's got a half.
One strike count on Brunansky. Cardinals with a leadoff man on, trying to get it going now. The only other time Hershiser has allowed the leadoff man on base was in that third inning. And you can see he's got the sinker stuff working down low. Those are his numbers here. That one to right field, into the corner. Marshall. Pendleton will hold at first base, and there's one away in the 7th inning. Brunansky, the first out.
I think the only thing that saves Tony La Russa from a lot of anguish with Jose Canseco is that the American League didn't need him to win the ball game.
Yeah.
If they would have lost,
he might have taken a lot of grief. Hershiser with one away. And that'll bring up Jose Kendo, who scored the Cardinal run in the 3rd inning. Also has struck out in the ball game. Hitting .285. La Russa also had more pleasant news today, just as he hoped. He has Dennis Eckersley back. We saw in our Thursday Night Baseball in Oakland Eckersley throw last week, and he looked strong, and so he was activated along with Canseco today.
So the Oakland A's will be at full strength for the second half.
1-0 pitch. Kendo fouls it back, a ball and a strike.
We keep referring to it as the second half, but obviously we're past the halfway mark. But in baseball, the All-Star game is always considered to be the first half ending ball game, and the second half kind of starts after that. It's a misnomer, but we in baseball call a lot of things wrong, incorrectly. Like a hit and run is really a run and hit. So,
and the foul pole is really a fair pole.
Right.
That one is fouled back. You know, 2 questions I was going to ask you on a play earlier, and you just brought them back up to me. We saw a base runner going on the hit and run and hit. Look back to the plate.
Right.
Now, I've always heard when you're stealing a base, you never look back. True?
Well, a lot of guys do it differently, but I would not look back if I was stealing the base. On a hit and run, you won't look to see where the ball is hit and where it's put in play. But it slows you down just a split second if you look back. So if you're stealing, you shouldn't look back.
Just go to the bag. That to center field. Jose Gonzalez. 2 down. 2 away. Pendleton still at first.
We haven't talked much about Jose Gonzalez, the new center fielder for the Dodgers. He has won that job, and he's been hitting very well, playing good defense. Very strong kid. He's a guy that has made significant strides each year. He's become a better player each year, not by leaps and bounds, but just a little bit better each year, till he's gotten to the point now where he can start in center field for the Dodgers and probably do a much better job next year just because of his experience.
Jose Gonzalez has put his time in. He's 24 years old now. There was a very good article in the Los Angeles Times today on Gonzalez talking about, you know, I'm not an overnight sensation here. I'm 24 and I've played minor league ball, and I've earned the spot here, if anything. John Shelby has not played well, and so Gonzalez is going to be out there so long as he can continue to perform, it looks like. Fred Clare, the GM of the Dodgers, saying there will be some changes in the second half if he can work some deals, and it will be around pitching. They have some pitching that they can afford to trade in order to pick something up on the bench. Leary is apparently going to go to the pen. And Ramon Martinez will be called up. There's Walling waiting in the on-deck circle to pinch hit. Ramon Martinez, who came up, pitched one great game and got sent right back down again.
Pitched a shutout.
Yeah. 1-1 with 2 away and a runner at first. That'll be played to first base by Griffin, and that will do it. That'll retire the side. Hershiser still in charge. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. It remains 3-1 L.A. Don't forget, Saturday on ABC Sports, the finest women golfers in the world will be meeting as they begin live weekend coverage of the United States Women's Open. Nancy Lopez will head the field. Indianwood Golf and Country Club in Orion, Michigan. Live coverage starts at 2:30 Eastern Saturday right here on ABC Sports.
That's about the only thing that Nancy Lopez hasn't won. She's never won the U.S. Open, Women's Open. She's in the Hall of Fame, but she has not won that tournament.
Well, Ray's not her caddy anymore, so he won't be there to bother her. One of the truly wonderful guys I've ever met in this game, Ray Knight, MVP of the '86 World Series.
He was a teammate of mine. He replaced Pete Rose when Pete Rose left Cincinnati in 1979 to go free agent. And Ray Knight hit 300 his first year in the major leagues.
Wonderful guy. When he got through baseball, he went out and caddied for a while. Nancy said, enough of this. Go to work. Pitch is on the outside corner for a strike. So he did. He's doing some baseball commentary now. Ken Hill has gone the distance for the St. Louis Cardinals. 1 strikeout, 3 walks.
That's a very interesting graphic there. He's only got to face 200 left-handed hitters this year and not give up a home run.
He's facing one right here. And that one hit in the air to center. Thompson just waiting in place. And Gibson's retired 1 away here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. This one moving along as a pitcher's duel.
I think Ken Hill has pitched an excellent ball game. He had a couple of unfortunate things happen to him, like walking the leadoff hitter that gave up 1 run, then a botched up play caused another. So he's actually pitched a very fine ball game, except for Eddie Murray. He's been able to handle the Dodgers pretty well.
He's done a number on him, as you see. 1st, 3rd, and 5th innings for Murray. Picking up the singles. And moving up in the RBI department now. With the 2 RBIs he's picked up tonight, he's tied for 8th in the league in runs batted in.
And that's having not an Eddie Murray type first half of the season. I think if the Dodgers can get any help from Gibson and Marshall, they will make a run at it before the season's over.
Well, they're pitching. You'd sure think so. That's a foul ball. The Dodgers, the best earned run average in Major League Baseball at 2.84. And there's Gibson, who provided the miracle numbers last season. And Fernando pitching again. And this club hoping, under the svelte Tommy Lasorda, that they'll be able to do it again. The diet has worked, as you see.
I really think the key guy for the Dodgers is Mike Marshall, because he's a proven RBI man and a power producer, and I think they need him behind Eddie Murray the second half.
Takes that one from Hill, 2-1.
There's Mike Marshall. But I think one of the things that has happened to Eddie Murray is that a lot was put on his shoulders when these guys, Gibson and Marshall, were out around him. It just made the focus even more definitive toward him, and pitchers started to walk him a lot more.
Goes after that one down the left field line. Coleman on the fly, gets there and makes the catch in fair territory. Speed.
Well, that's what the Cardinals are built on, speed and defense, and that's a great defensive play by Vince Coleman, because Eddie Murray does not hit a lot of balls directly down the left field line. You see Eddie has another good swing, but you see Coleman goes a long way for this ball. He looks to find the fence. Now he goes over, and that's a very tough backhand play below the belt. Very tough play.
There's no room over there in that corner. The stands come right out to that foul pole and then wrap around it. So you don't have any room when you get near the line. Here's Marshall. Takes the strike. Mike Marshall in his last at bat.
Well, he was hit by a fastball. He had 2 strikes on him, Ken Hill did, and he tried to go inside, and you can see hit him on the right arm. But he stayed in the ball game. He seems to be okay. So they go away with the first pitch.
come in with the next one.
Right.
Well,
you have to keep him honest.
Look at these. 18 fly ball outs, right-handers. 16 of them to center field. It's a straightaway hitter in the air. 1-1. There's another one, right center field on the fly. It's going to be in for a base hit. Thompson. So Marshall delivers a 2-out single. Here in the bottom half of the 7th inning, Manny Mota gives him the pat on the back. And that's 9 hits for the Dodgers. Mike Scioscia. Remember, this Dodger team came in with a team batting average of .234, but as Joe mentioned, they did pick the pace up prior to the All-Star break, and they're keeping it going here. They're going to hit double digits in hits, even though they've picked up 8 singles and 1 double. Pena faking the throw to get Marshall back to the bag. Scioscia's been on twice with a walk in the single.
I think it was interesting that Lasorda picked Scioscia as one of the catchers for the National League All-Star team. And I think it's interesting because I think the guy deserves it. He's been a very good catcher for a long period of time. He's done a good job. And he's as good a catcher as anyone else in the National League defensively. And there you see the most games played by a Dodger catcher. He's moving in on Roy Campanella. And, of course, John Roseborough, who was catching all those years with the great Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, and that group. Has caught the most games for a Dodger catcher.
Dodger Blue running real deep and long for Scioscia. And he fouls that one off. While you said that, it reminded me of something we were talking about today. Our good friends at the Elias Sports Bureau were looking at Orel Hershiser's numbers to determine where he was as far as all-time Dodger pitchers, effectiveness, ERA, and wins, and that sort of thing. You know, he's down. He's still 8th.
Well, the Dodgers have always had great pitchers.
It's amazing the great numbers he's put up. But you're right. That just shows how deep this club has always been in pitching with the names like you were mentioning, as he follows in line with the Koufaxes and the Drysdales. And another name to be added to the great list of Dodger pitchers.
Well, Claude Osteen and Don Sutton won 300 ball games, most of them with the Dodgers.
Tapped. Hill will run it down and flip over to first base to get the out. And that'll retire the side in the 7th. Dodgers gone. Just 1 hit. 1 more left on. Dodgers have stranded 9, but they lead it. Buddy Herzog will make the move here. Denny Walling, the pinch hitter, as the starter Ken Hill is going to come out of the game. We're talking about Orel Hershiser, 23-8 last year, looking for his 10th win this season. We asked him before the game, what changes to this season?
Well, I think one of the first things that I remember early in my career that retired pitchers used to say is that they wish they knew then what they knew now, and I try and store up that knowledge. And the second thing that I rely on is you look at careers like the Seavers and the Palmers and some of the great pitchers, the Drysdales, they always made adjustments. And I think a pitcher can make an adjustment a lot quicker than a hitter because it takes hitters hours and hours of batting practice to groove a swing. But a pitcher can make an adjustment on one pitch by changing speeds or changing the angle on a curveball or making a ball go straight instead of sink. And those are the kind of adjustments that I look to make so that hitters can't catch up with me.
And they haven't caught up with you, Orel.
Yeah, but I have to give it from the hitter's side. A hitter can make an adjustment every swing as well. The great hitters do. The George Bretts and the Boggs and guys that hit high averages, they make an adjustment every pitch.
You're talking about those numbers. Here are those Dodger pitchers ahead in a winning percentage of Orel Hershiser. Rowe, John, Fairfax, Newcomb, Kirky Higbee, Whitlaw, Wyatt, Hugh Casey, Orel Hershiser 8th, Erskine, and Dazzy Vance. So he's up there with some pretty selective people in the pitching category for this 30-year-old Cy Young Award winner. Orel Hershiser in front here 3-1. Walling, the pinch hitter. There you see what he's done tonight, over the 100 mark in pitches thrown. He has 4 complete games, 4 shutouts for the Dodgers this season. And Walling to center field. Will be hauled in by Gonzalez. And Walling's retired. Walling is a pinch hitter this season. Now has picked up 5 hits in 16 times up, but Hershiser gets him there. So we're going to see a new Cardinal pitcher coming on in the bottom half of the inning. 1 away. Vince Coleman. Coleman has been on base once with a walk in the 3rd. Oral Hershiser's done a good job to keep him off, and with the Cardinals needing base runners, Hamilton's going to play in at 3rd base. And that's why. But that's very playable. 2 down, Socia. And right now, Hershiser's on a roll as Coleman does not get that down, trying for the bunt single.
Coleman tries to take this ball with him. He tries to drag it to first base, to the first base side, but he leaves the bat behind him, and he bunts it a little late, and that causes the pop-up.
And again, the around with the bat bunt by Milt Thompson. May have just been taking one right there with 2 down and nobody on. Thompson's drawn a walk as well, and that was with the bases loaded for the only RBI for the Cardinals. Hershiser 1-1. Thompson's had a big night in the field here. 7 putouts so far in center field. Ken Hill, an effective start for the Cardinals, out of there after 7 innings, 3 runs, 9 hits. As he went out for the pinch hitter Walling. He struck out 1 and walked 3, hit a batter. That's about what you'd expect against Oral Hershiser by a lot of people.
I think what happens a lot of times when you use a graphic like that that shows a guy's this 2 for 10 or whatever off of a hitter, I don't think it has any meaning unless he has at least 20 to 25 at bats. And in this case, I think it has a lot of meaning because he had 30 at bats and he has not done very well against Oral Hershiser.
He has a 2-2 count right now. 3-1 Dodgers on top. 8th inning. Breaking ball. 3-2. Hershiser last season held the opposition to a .213 batting average. It's gone up a little bit this year. The opposing teams are hitting .237 off him, but still very respectable and effective. The 3-2 is topped over the mound. That's going to be a base hit. Seeing eye single right there for Thompson. 4 hits now for the Cardinals, and all have been singles.
Shortstop, Ozzie Smith.
2 down, Smith up.
This is where I was talking about early in the ball game about having a 3rd place hitter that hits the ball out of the ballpark. Ozzie Smith is the tying run now, but Ozzie only has 1 home run for the season, so you don't expect him to be able to tie the ball game with 1 swing. And normally your 3rd place hitter can do that.
And that one will be foul back. See if Ozzie can keep the inning alive right here for the Cardinals, and Whitey Herzog putting the signs out with 2 down. There goes the base runner. They were looking for the steal. Socia's throw, though, is not going to be in time. And Thompson's got the stolen base, his 16th.
And that's the Whitey Herzog that I know and have a lot of respect for. Hershiser has been shutting them out since the 3rd inning. He wants to change something. Put a runner in scoring position. Let him go. And Thompson steals the bag. And you have to give Thompson credit because he got an excellent jump off of Hershiser. And he was able to steal the bag. The throw is a little high from Socia. And it takes him a little while to get rid of it. But Thompson had an excellent jump.
1-1 count on Smith. Ozzie takes it inside. Ozzie Smith has been a very good clutch hitter over the seasons and this year for the Cardinals. He's hitting .353, 2 outs and runners on. There you see it is 3rd best in the league behind Larkin and Raines.
And this is what he needs now. He doesn't need to go for the long ball. He just needs to try to get a single and drive in the run. And what the Cardinals want to do is not go into the 9th inning trailing by more than 1. Because if you go into the 9th inning trailing by more than 1, it's really going to cut down your running game. You're not going to send guys if you're 2 runs down in the 9th inning. You will do that in the 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, but not in the 9th inning.
And you've got the big stick, Guerrero, on deck if he can get on. And he wraps that one towards the hole, but Randolph, time to get there, makes the play, and Hershiser pounds the glove as he gets the out that he needed. No runs, a base hit, and a runner left on at second. We'll return after this message and news headlines from our ABC stations. There's our tote board here at Dodger Stadium as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Dodgers outscoring, out-hitting the Cardinals and leading it 3-1. As Tommy Lasorda's Dodgers trying to get their 41st win. They are 23-20 here at home. And they would like to add to it. And Dan Quisenberry, the veteran, is on in relief. 36-year-old right-hander. His numbers this season: 4 saves. You can see he's pitched 47 1/3, walked only 9, struck out 23. Quisenberry up there among the all-time active pitchers for career saves, 242. Ranks 4th on the all-time list, 2nd among the active pitchers. Joined the Cardinals as a free agent in July of last season, and hopes that the arm still has some innings left in it. Quisenberry ready to go, and the sidearm delivery is a strike.
The thing that makes a guy like Quisenberry or Kent Colby or Ted Abernathy so effective is he throws underhand. And the reason he makes him effective from there is because you normally look for the ball up above the shoulders.
Ooh, right between the wickets. Into center field. Thompson up with it, and Hamilton is on with a base hit. Perfectly placed.
And we get another look at it here as he throws a sidearm sinker, and Hamilton hits it right back up the middle. Quisenberry cannot get his glove down in time. And here you see Hamilton. He does not bail on the pitch. It's a look at Quisenberry as he throws underhand, and then he tries to knock it down.
Look at that great shadow in the back. Look on the blue up top on the lefty, upper lefty of screen. Isn't that pretty? Little silhouette back there. I'm sorry. It's a little artistry there. I didn't want to pass by. Here's Ozzie. Wanted to go to second. It's not going to go anywhere. Set back to Quisenberry and gives him the ball and gets a pat on the shoulder. Put that in your VCR. That's an error on Ozzie Smith, and that doesn't happen very often.
Well, I'm not sure they're going to give him an error on the play. It may be scored as a fielder's choice because he was going to second base and he was not able to make the play. It's chopped to shortstop. Only Ozzie Smith would try to go to second base with it. Normally you go to first base with it. You see right there he wanted to go to second base with it. So they may not score that as an error because it was not a routine play.
They did.
Okay, Ozzie gets an error. I tried to save him.
You tried.
I tried to save him. Well, they already had one error on the board.
They slapped that up so fast, they beat us to the punch. So Ozzie, the 11th error committed this season by Ozzie Smith. He just couldn't get that one out of the glove. As you said, though, nobody else would even have thought about looking at second base.
If he's making that play to first base, it's an automatic error. But when you're trying to do something unique or creative, a lot of times they'll score the fielder's choice.
Hershiser will try and help himself out, and he was going to butcher boy that one.
There we go.
There it is.
Butcher boy.
Butcher boy. You know what that is.
I know what it is.
Okay.
Now. Well, you explain it to the fans.
No, it's when you fake the bunt, pull the bat back, and just take that chopping motion at the baseball.
Okay.
One of the old terms, I guess. Butcher boy. I have no idea where I heard it from or where it came from because I don't have my lexicon with me.
Well, you gave me one other one. I've forgotten.
That was the ladle.
Oh, the ladle.
Yeah.
Okay. He ladled it down the left field line. Okay.
1-0 count. And he bunts it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And St. Louis has the rotation play on, and that is where the third baseman Pendleton charges toward home plate. Ozzie Smith goes over to cover third, and Oil Hershiser fouls the ball at home plate. So he defeats that. Normally, the third baseman will stay back, and the pitcher tries to bunt the ball sharply to third base to make him field the ball. That's your normal bunt situation. But what the Cardinals are trying to do here is charge from third base with Terry Pendleton, have Ozzie Smith cover third, and he turn and throw back to third base.
Hershiser, they're already in at first and third on him. 1-1, and he does bunt it, and a good one. They're going to try a third. Quisenberry got him! Got the lead runner at third base, Jeff Hamilton. Joe Amalfitano didn't think so.
Well, it's a very close play at third base. I thought they were going to get him originally, but it took Quisenberry quite a bit of time to get the ball to third base. He comes up. Now he gets rid of it. And obviously with the blurred vision there, we can't tell, but Malpatano is saying, nice job. And Dutch Renner is saying, you're out. We'll get another look at it with Jeff Hamilton taking off. And you see Hamilton thought they were going to first base, and that's probably why he was a little late getting to the bag. He slid late.
Quisenberry with that drop down throw, even when he's throwing to the bag. Dutch Renner making the call, the third base umpire. And Tommy Lasorda did not get that one done, and maybe even a little worse than that. Hershiser now has to stay on the base paths. He now becomes a base runner. With a 3-1 Dodger lead, Lasorda would probably just as soon have Hershiser sitting in the dugout.
Well, I know he'd rather have him sitting in the dugout with a perfect sacrifice, but it didn't work that way.
One away. Here's Griffin. Couple of singles. Everybody going. Foul back. On his way to third base, Gonzalez. He'll head back to second. The rookie was flying.
One of the things that is tough for a guy that throws underhand is to hold the guys close at second base. And you see Gonzalez times him and takes off for third, and he had the bag stolen very easily if it would not have been fouled out of play. But see, where a guy like Quisenberry, when he holds you on, then he drops down, he gives you more time to run. Whether you're coming from first base or second base, he gives you a chance to steal, and there you can see the statistics bear that out.
Wow, what a high percentage. 0-1. Ozzie sneaking in behind the base runner at second. Oh boy, I'll tell you, Griffin had to step out on that one. You can't hold that bat that long and get a decent swing.
Well, you start to tighten up if you stand there and hold the bat for a long period of time. And then Quisenberry does something even better than holding it. He throws him a changeup because he's kind of tight, waiting for the pitch, and then he throws a changeup.
62 miles an hour.
That's a real changeup.
That's got the string on it. Griffin scored a run in the first when he walked. He's had a good night here. He's been on 3 out of the 4 times he's been to the plate. There's Ozzie again moving in. That's what Quisenberry has to do. And obviously big runs here. The Dodgers want to get that lead up. It's 3-1 LA on top. The bottom half of the 8th inning. Quisenberry's trying to keep it that way. Infield looking for the double play ground ball off Griffin's bat. Pendleton will give chase, but there'll be no play. In case you are wondering on the error committed in the inning by the shortstop, Ozzie Smith. 11 this year. He had 22 last year and 10 the year before. Lifetime for Ozzie, the shortstop, 203
errors.
I think one of the, and he doesn't need any excuses made, but one of the things that happens with Ozzie, he is so good and gets to so many baseballs, he commits errors on balls that other people wouldn't even get to.
And he tries to make plays that other people would only dream about making.
And usually does. 0-2 the count. There goes the base runner. Popped up. Pena.
That was kind of strange. That was more like a delayed steal from Jose Gonzalez on that play.
Willie Randolph.
And he didn't get any big jump on that one.
It's an off-speed pitch again, and it fools Griffin, and he pops it up. And that's a fine play by Tony Pena, because with Gonzalez running, Terry Pendleton had to go back to third base. So the only one that was able to make the play would have been the catcher, Tony Pena, and he does a good job of getting over.
This telecast is presented by the authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. And huge sums of money paid to the broadcasters. 2 down here. 3-1 Dodgers on top in the 8th inning. The Dodgers now have 10 hits in the game. Willie Randolph, with 2 away, will try and get the big hit. First and second occupied. Quisenberry gets it in for the strike.
It was interesting that both of the second basemen from the Yankees and the Dodgers, who actually traded teams, were both on the All-Star team. Steve Sachs from the Yankees and Willie Randolph from the Dodgers.
Gonzalez and Hershiser the base runners. And Pena wanted that one outside, and Quisenberry put it there. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
I found it interesting because last year the Dodgers finished 11th out of 12 teams in double plays. This year they lead the National League in double plays. So that shows the value of a Willie Randolph.
He can work the bag. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But in the opposite direction, Steve Sachs is in the top 5 in hitting in the American League. So he's done a good job as well. And Randolph thought that pitch was low.
How could you tell?
I could tell.
1-2 count, 2 down. Pena sets up way outside, and it's a called strike, and Randolph can't believe it. Quisenberry gets the strikeout, and 2 are left on. We'll return after a word from our ABC stations. Joe, Quisenberry hit the target.
Well, he definitely is the target, but I guess Pena set up about 2 feet outside. See, Pena's getting ready to throw the ball back. And you see Randolph is very upset. But you can see, being a normal, calm second baseman, he doesn't swear at the umpire or anything. He just says it's outside.
And you, of course, are in that mode.
Right.
Are still in that mode.
I might have had to drop a little bit more than it was outside on him in that particular instance.
All right, the Cardinals against Oral Hershiser, who's looking for his 5th complete game of the season, have Guerrero, Pendleton, and Brunansky. Hershiser, who had 15 complete games last year, looking for his 5th this season. Lifetime record of 5-4 against the Cardinals. He's trying to pick up his 6th career win against them. A 3-1 lead. He's given up just 4 singles in the game. The Cardinals have left only 5 on base. The Dodgers have stranded 11, but they have a 3-1 lead.
What you have here is a little cat and mouse game between Pedro Guerrero and Oral Hershiser. Pedro says he quick pitched him the first pitch, and he was trying to do it again, so Pedro stepped out. Oral says, "Are you ready now?"
Just trying to shake him up. Breaking ball again. 1 ball and 1 strike on Guerrero. The Dodgers staff this season, 10 complete games, 12 shutouts. They lead the National League in shutouts. They are not on top in complete games. Pittsburgh has 13 complete games out of their staff. 1-1. Breaking ball to center. Gonzalez. And there's 1 away. Guerrero retired. Hershiser 2 outs away from the win.
Third baseman, Terry Pendleton.
That'll bring up Terry Pendleton. This has not been an easy lineup to defeat of the St. Louis Cardinals. Tommy Lasorda's team trying to take the first of this 4-game series against the starting lineup in there tonight, where the Cardinals have won 27 of the 40 games when this particular unit has been together. And those 40 games that these Cardinal starters have played together is the most by any major league team this season, putting starters out day after day. So many injuries there have been this year. That one grounded into right field for a base hit, so Pendleton's going to make it interesting, because that's going to bring the potential tying run to the plate. As Terry Pendleton has his 2nd hit, he's 2 for 4. And he gets one of the big sticks up there, and Lasorda will sit and squirm just a little bit, but he's got Hershiser on the mound.
Brunansky in this situation will be trying to get a ball that he can drive, and he's basically a low ball hitter. Hershiser knows that, so he will probably try to get him to fish for a pitch low out of the strike zone, one that he can't do anything with if he does make contact. Like that, he wants him to chase that pitch. So the key for Brunansky is not to be impatient here and make sure that he gets a good pitch to hit. In this situation, you just want to make sure you get one good swing.
Tom Brunansky with 1 away hits that one into left field. He's got a base hit, and the Cardinals doing it station by station as Gibson gets it back in. 6 singles off Hershiser, and you can see Lasorda, and the squirming becomes a little more pronounced. 2 on, 1 away. And Whitey Herzog with Jose Oquendo coming up, and Hershiser will wait a moment. The visit to the mound by Ron Peronowski, the pitching coach of the Dodgers. And that's it. Worrell is going to come out of the game. So Hershiser, 2 outs shy of the complete game win. Gets the deserved ovation. He still leads it 3-1. We'll be right back. Yet another strong performance for Orel Hershiser, who will go to the bench to watch. And he pitched 8 1/3 with just 6 singles off him. And now Jay Howell, who has become the stopper. A great earned run average, along with the 15 saves for the Dodgers. That leads the Dodgers pitching staff in saves this season, far and away the stopper. 46 1/3 tough innings in key situations for him. You see only 4 earned runs have been scored off him, and he has allowed only 6 inherited runners to score. So he has been very effective.
Well, the runner at first base is not really important in this situation. The only thing for Jay Howell to be concerned with is the next couple of hitters, Jose Oquendo and Tony Pena, because they are the tying run. Even if the runner at first base scores, I'm sorry, the runner at first base is the tying run. So the only thing he's concerned with is keeping these other guys from moving him around.
Whitey Herzog with Oquendo, who's been a clutch player for him, and Lasorda going to his ace out of the pen. Incredible numbers for Howe. He has not been scored on in the last 15 1/3 innings. That's over 12 games since the opposition has put a run in against him. Jose Oquendo against the 33-year-old Jay Howell. 1 down, 2 on. The Dodgers are leading 3-1. We're in the top of the 9th inning. The Dodgers are 2 outs away from the win. But Jose Oquendo, who started the month of July in a flurry, with a chance to keep this game alive for the runners at first and second. And he bloops that one to left field. That's going to fall in for a base hit. On the fly, Pendleton coming to the plate to throw. Off the mark. And it's a 3-2 game. Oquendo delivers his second hit and his first RBI of the ball game. And now we have a 1-run game.
That was a very gutsy play on the part of Terry Pendleton, scoring on that ball, because he is not the tying run. We get another look at it. Good fastball that actually ties Oquendo up. He bloops it over shortstop. But there you see Pendleton's running all the way, and Gibson comes in. He doesn't really have a shot at him once he gets it, but I can't believe that Pendleton was running as soon as the ball was hit like that when you're really not the tying run. And there you see Whitey Herzog. He's excited, and there he's calling for another pinch hitter right away.
John Morris is going to pinch hit for Tony Pena. Oquendo with his 25th RBI. Still just 1 away, and the Cardinals with runners at first and second. And here's Morris. This has been one of the problem areas for the St. Louis Cardinals, and unusual for them. That's the guys coming off the bench to pinch hit. Their pinch hitters are hitting just 180, which is the lowest in the league right now. One of the reasons is because of injuries. People like Milt Thompson, who would be playing off the bench, are playing every day. So it's taken some of their strength away from the pine.
Well, you could see Morris was 10 for his first 16 and then 4 for 42. But that's what pinch hitting is all about. It's kind of a flip a coin. You never know what's going to happen.
He's 6 for 25 as a pinch hitter, batting .240. Grounds it down to first. It'll be played to the bag by Eddie Murray. And Morris' first ball hitting is the second out. And so it comes to this. The Dodgers 1 out away from winning it, but the Cardinals have 2 in scoring position. Morris becomes the second out.
And Leon Durham comes out to pinch hit.
This is why they acquired him, for a little help off the bench.
Batting for the pitcher, Quisenberry.
The veteran Bull Durham.
16, Leon Durham.
Leon Durham coming to the plate. Mark Creasy sets up the defense here, moving people around. And here's the veteran Durham. His contract was purchased from the Louisville AAA Redbirds June 23 and came on for the first time as a defensive replacement for the Cardinals. But this is the role that they want him in, some depth on the bench.
And he's due for a base hit because he's 0 for 5.
So the game's on the line. Jay Howe, runners at second and third against him, 2 away. And he gets the first pitch in on Durham. Strike 1. Last season, not a strong bat with runners in scoring position.
Leon Durham is a good fastball hitter, which Jay Howe started him off with a fastball, but it was on the inside corner. He likes the fastball out over the plate.
2 away, 3-2 Dodger lead. Durham waiting. Inside corner by Howell. 2 strikes.
And again, you can see they go right to his weakness, which is the fastball on the inside part of the plate. And again, it's a very close pitch on the inside corner, and Leon Durham says it was inside, but Jerry Lane says I'm calling the pitches.
The Dodgers 1 strike away from the win. The Cardinals 1 hit away from at least tying it. 0-2 the count. Howell got him swinging, and the game's over. The Dodgers 15 and 17 in 1-run ball games. The Cardinals 17 and 14 in 1-run games. There's the winner, Lasorda, with Hershiser getting the victory, going 10 and 7. Hill a strong performance but loses it, and Howell has his 16th save.
Well, it's a fastball that he throws right by Leon Durham on the inside corner of the plate. High fastball. And you can see Leon's a little late on this pitch because it's in a perfect spot, up and in. And there you see Lasorda. And the opposite, Herzog just walks up the tunnel.
And we will be back to Dodger Stadium. Our final score, the Dodgers beating the Cardinals in this first of 4, 3-2. Well, a fine ball game and a pitching duel here, ultimately won by Hershiser, who gets his 10th. And Hill, that's a tough performance for Ken Hill because he pitched a strong ball game, but for the Los Angeles Dodgers, this is the way they're going to have to win if they're going to get back in the race.
Well, they got a very good performance from Eddie Murray. He had 3 base hits, and they were key in that they helped them score runs. And I think they need Eddie Murray, and they also going to need a little more production from Kirk Gibson and Mike Marshall.
Tough way to start a road trip. We mentioned the St. Louis Cardinals now, 11 games on the road as they have 4 here against the Dodgers. You lose a 1-run ball game to start it. That's not the way you want to begin a long road trip.
Well, especially with the fact that they're using 4 starters now, and they're not going to have many off days, and they're going to have to figure out a way to come up with a 5th starter. I don't think they can win it without a 5th starter.
Hershiser is incredible in that his performances, when he's on, as he is most of the time, he dominates a game in the middle portions, allowing his club to get some runs on the board.
Well, I thought he was great in that he kept the ball down. He only threw maybe 2 pitches the entire ball game above the waist. If you keep the ball down, you're going to keep it in the ballpark. You keep it in the ballpark, you're going to pitch a low-run ball game.
I think you're right about that number 3 spot for the Cardinals. They really are going to have to do something about that to get somebody in there with a little more long ball potential than an Ozzie Smith.
Well, I think they're going to have Willie McGee back. Maybe they can move the other guys up. Willie McGee can hit 5th or 6th.
Good ball game.
Right, very fine ball game, enjoyable.
And the Los Angeles Dodgers, with that victory, of course, get to stay at home here for 3 more. That's only the 2nd win they've had against the Cardinals this season, as the Cardinals lead in the series 7 games to 2. But for the Dodgers, they wanted to get that start to go into the second half of the season strong as they start 11 games out, and they've done that as they come away with a win here at Dodger Stadium. So we'll see what they do with the remaining 3, but at least they're off to the start that they wanted. Once again, our final score here, Los Angeles wins it by a score of 3-2. The executive producer of ABC's Thursday Night Baseball is Jeffrey Mason. Coordinating producer of ABC's Thursday Night Baseball, Kurt Gowdy Jr. Tonight's game was produced by Rob Viner, directed by Bill Webb. Technical Director, Rich Gelber. Associate Director, Tony Slotkin. Saturday at ABC ABC Sports, the finest women golfers in the world meet as we begin live coverage of the U.S. Women's Open. Then on ABC's Wide World of Sports, IBF junior middleweight champ Darian Van Horn defends his title against Italy's Gianfranco Rossi, plus continuing coverage of the Tour de France. And next week on ABC's Thursday Night Baseball, Kevin Mitchell and the Giants face the Cubs, or it'll be Detroit meeting California. Now stay tuned for ABC News Nightline following your late local news, except on the West Coast. For Joe Morgan, this is Gary Thorne and all of our crew here at Dodger Stadium. Thank you for joining us, and good night, everybody.
ABC's Thursday Night Baseball has been brought to you by the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. By new Michelob Dry, one taste and you'll drink it dry. And by Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch, and now new Nut and Honey Crunchos. What's in the O? Nut and Honey. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.